Hey everybody, welcome to the Exp Talk Show. I'm your host, Conky Talks. You can call me Steve, you can call me Conky. This show is all about sharing experiences. I'm not an expert, I'm just some dude on the internet who was inspired by a lot of podcasters and content creators to pursue talking to people. And I like to think that I have a pretty good knack for that. It's one of the things that I have been like really diving in head first to this year is just conversations, speaking with people when we're not doing one-on-one interviews like we are going to do today. We're taking conversations from you, the viewers, during the week while we're playing games. Usually it's like a roguelike, like Enter the Gungeon, or we've been playing a lot of BPM, bullets per minute lately. But we usually ask a question and then y'all call in. Yeah, that's pretty much the intro to the show. So how the show eventually evolved into. Today's guests, you know them as the parents of SayHeyRocco. I got to meet them fucking long time ago when we were on a stream team together. I got acquainted. Needless to say, and I'm sure you feel mutually the same, SayHeyRocco was one of those channels where like it was just so mind-blowingly fun and amazing that it literally changes your life as you spend more time and get to know the people there, and especially the parents, Rocco's parents in general. So without further ado, here are Maxstaar and Beateaz. For the first time. They're here.
Yeah.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. First of all, thank you so much for doing the show. This is our first show together. Like we mentioned earlier.
First show ever.
First show ever. As far as just the overall setup for what we're going to be doing, I want to talk. I mean, it's obviously we're going to get to a lot of questions about Rocco, but I think it's really important that before we jump into like Rocco and where he came from and all that, it's important to get to know both of you, because obviously y'all made him, right, as the parents. So I know I keep wanting to refer to the last time we talked, but this is our first time talking.
It's the first time.
First time talking.
Like, it's not, you don't know anything about us.
Right, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So let's start off with just like some super, simple introductions, and let's start there, and we'll kind of feel it out, okay?
Okay.
Whoever wants to go first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Maxstaar, or I mean Rachel, but people call me Maxstaar. I live in Los Angeles, and I've had Rocco since I was in 8th grade. So I don't know. I've just loved puppets my whole life, and I like horror movies and video games and puppets, and that's about it. Other people's dogs.
Awesome.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's a good intro.
Good.
Go ahead.
And then I'm Beateaz, and Kellen is my name. And I'm trying to think where to start now, because we haven't ever done this before.
No, we're so new.
It's our first time.
I have just very much grew up always into music, which got me very into audio, and that just kind of became my passion. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I love horror movies now because I've been with her. Other than that, I really liked a lot less scary stuff previously.
I feel the same. That's not, Nina was that inspiration for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the like your lives before y'all were together, right? So, Callan, you were talking a little bit about like the music interest and your interest in music. Can you kind of like give us a little bit of a summary of like your experience with it and how that was?
Yeah, ultimately, music and interest in audio production brought me out to Los Angeles for school. It was, we kind of talked about it where it was a goal, and I wanted to come out here, and I'd applied here, but it wasn't something that we thought was achievable. I didn't get into the school out here at first. And then long story short, right around when I was graduating was when I heard the confirmation that I did kind of get off the wait list and was accepted to Los Angeles for a recording arts program.
Mm-hmm.
And that, yeah, I didn't know anything about this city. I had visited it once, maybe my junior year. My dad had a work conference. And other than that, it just was completely a new world for me to come out here. And I grew up in Denver, Colorado, not a small city, but especially at the time, it wasn't large. So it was definitely quite the culture shock when all of a sudden, within 2 months, then I was moved out here. And I have been here ever since. Surprisingly, mostly because me and Rachel met and were able to kind of set up a life with each other and different goals and aspirations that we've been able to work on together over the years. Because other than that, I don't think I would have really stayed in such a hectic place. Maybe a little bit more quiet would have been nice, but at the same time, I like quiet, but I kind of also thrive off of the chaos too.
I was gonna say the
So
chaos.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Rachel.
Yeah.
a little bit of the chaos. So let's talk a little bit about the music stuff. So, I mean, you come from Colorado, which, I mean, most people would assume is just like a super chill, relaxed, state in general. Weed. When it came down to like the music industry and everything out here, when you say culture shock, is that more in relation to like being a music producer or working in the like music environment in California? Is that what you're talking about?
All of it. Because even before I was old enough to kind of work within those worlds and was still just like a complete new student out here, just the city in general was definitely a culture shock. Navigating the social minefield and constructs out here was a little bit different than Colorado lifestyle for sure. It was so much more different than I really realized, because at first it was like, oh well, this is just college, this is also why it feels different. And then some years into it, you start noticing and feeling the city's a little bit different than you thought. People's motivations are all like different, and not even in negative ways, just in it's interesting to show up to a city this big but also be showing up for college, because it's like, what's my new college experience, what's my moving away from home experience, and then what's my experience with this new city. And it took some years to kind of compartmentalize which things were which feeling, and understand what the feeling of Los Angeles was in general. And then it was going into, once I kind of understood Los Angeles or the world out here a little bit more, and then it was working within an industry that was also a double time culture shock on top of that.
Okay, so like you had the California like perspective, like moving into a new state, and so you're getting acquainted with that. You're like, okay, new college, and then there was like this weird cultural thing that you're also getting acquainted with, and then on top of that, like layered amount of like new experiences, you're talking about like a music industry that was so vastly different than what your experiences were before. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Because before I didn't know anything about music industry or business or work. It was just, I grew up playing violin from the age of 5 onward, and like played pretty. It was, my parents weren't ever like, I wouldn't call them strict specifically, but they always wanted me to like push towards something in a goal. So it was like practice 30 minutes every day, do the recitals. Ended up by the age I was able to being in the youth symphony orchestra there. So it was a lot of time put into there. But at the same time, when I came to the age where I was like, look, this seems a little bit too structured of an instrument to me. Sometimes I'm like, if I could just, because we were doing like Suzuki method stuff, so it's like I kind of got to this point where I was like maybe 13. I was like, I could probably play this thing better if I could just hold it unconventional. Like, let me just have a little bit more fun with that. So kind of mess around with jazz violin and a little bit of rock violin, and then eventually just switch to guitar. So like my parents were very much, it wasn't like, oh, well, you got to stay on this. It was very open. And I realized as I get older how blessed that was, that they were encouraging of that stuff, to just be like, yo, if that one's not feeling right, just do something. Do which one you
That's so nice.
And growing older, and then especially coming out here and talking to more people, as you aren't just living within your little nest at home, you realize, wow, a lot of my friends did not have that support, especially when it came to doing the creative
Yeah.
arts whatsoever. I just remember in one of my first college classes, a professor asking how many of your parents didn't want you to do this as a major. And my program was within the film school, so it was like a film class. And it was everybody besides 3 of us in a room of like 25 people raised their hands.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, you guys got shit for doing this? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. I was kind of pushed towards, well, this is what your interests are. This is where you want to spend your time. So why would you burn out somewhere else and fail? Kind of.
Right.
I don't know.
Mhm.
No,
So
that's-
yeah,
it's valid. I mean, that's like I remember a similar question in my art school, and I was definitely one of those kids that raised my hand. It was like, it was just the support structure was, it was like you could do whatever you want, but it's also like you should be successful, and this isn't like a guaranteed thing. So
Yep.
it was, it's a tough space to be in. I'm glad that you had that sort of like fostered within you, because it definitely gives you an edge, like knowing that your parents got you back. And you said your parents were both musicians, right?
Well, they weren't. Well, they both grew up with interest in like music, but didn't really ever get to put the time into it too much. My dad did get to play some trumpet and grew up, and then he'll still mess around with guitar a little bit for fun.
Okay.
But for work-wise, my mom was in advertising, and my dad is spinal cord and head injury
Okay.
as a doctor.
Okay.
So
Okay.
very different things, not. Well, my mom's being in advertising. Obviously,
mom was always
that's
very-
a lot in the creative world, and then she's an editor and stuff like that. So she knew that world. She knew the business side of the creative world more than I had ever realized until probably I was like 25,
Mhm.
Oh,
and we
okay.
really started having conversations of realizing, oh, you've had to deal with crazy clients while
Huge ad campaigns.
yeah, it's like,
I'm
okay, like I get
oh.
this now. Just the stuff your parents never tell you, because you obviously, once you turn a teenage, you show it on your eyes that you wouldn't listen even if they said it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
You
then
need
they
the,
have to wait until you're the age to like
Well, you
actually
need the
tell you what they did.
you need like the context of the life experience to like truly
Yeah.
comprehend it, right? So
Yep.
Mhm.
Like, it
Yeah.
wouldn't have made sense. Like, well, what are those anecdotes and stories be when she's talking about crazy clients?
Right,
When
you wouldn't
you're a 12,
fucking know.
13-year-old, you're like, "Just shut up, Mom."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
later in the right time, it's pretty invaluable information to just understand a little bit more about yourself too, and be like, oh, I kind of get why I tick the way that I do, hearing the way that you used to work in your professional environments. But
right.
yeah, having and then my sister is heavily in medicine as well. So yeah,
Okay.
it just not having them force me into those directions was interesting.
Mhm.
So
Without
let's-
rambling too much,
Oh no, go ahead.
I would say it's interesting because I did grow up as a kid where I was the one into sciences
Mhm.
younger.
Mm.
My sister was the one into creative stuff. At some crossover point, she noticed the problem solving and stuff, the creativity in science, and I noticed the science, creativity, audio.
Okay.
So it's funny because we did at some point switch, but we
Mhm.
never had backlash from the parents at all that we.
That's
go
awesome though. They gave you
Yeah.
the flexibility, and we're understanding and empathetic that you were like, it's okay to change your mind as long as you're, using your time effectively or being creative or constructive, whatever it is. That's awesome. So you had like the foundational, like, I guess the way I would explain it is you like essentially mastered the fundamentals of violin, got curious about like getting beyond the strictness of what you were learning, and then applying those fundamentals to other instruments, and then eventually you got into music production.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so like how did like creating music using just playing instruments turn into production for you?
That is the most that I guess that part kind of comes into in like a little bit on how me and Rachel met, because we met at like an EDM concert, rave, whatever you want to call it.
We met at a rave.
And
Let's just call it what it is. It was a grimy rave that went till 5 a.m.
and there was just something. I've always listened to music a little bit differently than everybody else, even though I'm so involved in it. I don't really pick up the lyrics. But I need the voice still. Like, it's a very important instrument part to me, but I just stopped listening to the lyrics and listen to like the sounds, the textures, the rhythms. And
So again,
So
like a very
growing up-
like a very fundamental like ingredients way of viewing it.
what
Okay.
ingredients, how did this all go together? And so
Okay.
coming out to Los Angeles, I didn't know how, I wanted to do recording arts, and it wasn't I wanted it to be towards music, but it was also like, I'll do it if it's for boom operating for TV commercials. Like it was like just audio in general.
Mhm.
And I didn't know how to really fully get into just the production side. Because when you're a kid, you're like, how are they producing all these things? I kind of played guitar, but like, what the hell? I could be the best guitarist in the world. Wasn't, but even if you were,
Yeah.
how do you make a song then? Like, I don't drum, I don't do this or that. And so coming out to Los Angeles, being around audio production, which the first couple years of my program really were heavily into the film industry.
Okay.
So I was able to learn stuff, and at the same time kind of start getting into what I liked myself as now a not adult but free adult.
Yeah.
First time you're away from the nest, but you're just a kid, and you really find out like, oh, what do I like, what don't I like?
Yeah.
And I loved music so much, but concerts were always hard for me because there's always that moment where people are singing the lyrics and then they look at you. And I would be the one that got everybody into the band, so then they look at me and expect me to like sing a lyric back. I'd be like,
And you're all shoulders.
There's no words
and
in this song.
you can only shoulder so much in a night before you're like, I don't, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just like, it would create this awkward situation. Nobody gave me shit for it, but it just would feel some type of way. I'd be like, I know I got all of you into this. And I know you are so confused that me looking like I've never heard this band before.
He's a phony.
Coming out to LA in 2000, I came out for college in 2007, 2008. It was a very interesting time of what then got relabeled later just as a general term EDM,
Okay.
where it was at. People were doing, it wasn't just what we had grown up as hearing as techno. It wasn't just, people were starting to do some really interesting things rhythmically, bringing in some weird world sounds,
Yeah.
and just doing things that made me go, what the hell is that?
And it didn't have lyrics.
It didn't have lyrics. It was just purely physical in the way that you would respond to it. So I could do that. Like, I knew when to get hyped at those concerts. I knew when to react when people would look for reaction. And
Yes.
that kind of just led down to a road of realizing also, oh, holy crap, you can make all these sounds yourself.
Yeah.
You can sample things. You can build synthesized drums. There are drum machines and sequencers that do this stuff. And then me and a friend named Alex Lockwood, we just started making really weird music. And that was the first time that it went from audio engineering, going to audio engineering school, to, oh crap, we just made a 3.5 minute song. It might be crazy. It might make you like fall out of your chair because we had some weird things going on with synths, but we were just messing around with
You were
sounds for the
experimenting,
first time and synthesis and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just very, very fun. And that's kind of when it sparked off as like music production. Even though like,
That makes sense.
I mean, I would still mess around with stuff and make weird remixes in GarageBand in high school. Just didn't know what you're doing. You would try to combine some Little John acapellas on top of like old classical tracks and try to put some drums to them.
Sure.
Like super rudimentary stuff that would just,
but that's
it
how
was
it starts.
something.
That's how
Yeah,
it
yeah.
all starts, you know?
and
So
that's all
that
you had
makes sense.
access to as a high schooler. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm lucky enough to go to school, and even though it wasn't focused in music production, you walk into a little room and they have a keyboard and a drum machine and all these plugins. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's where the sounds come from. You just needed things.
Yeah. You just needed the things. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So yeah, you got, so the music production portion, you got into the experimentation of it. You started doing that in school, and then eventually you ended up in the music industry. And so like that, you decided to depart from that at some point. And was there like a moment of recognition, or was it like discussions with Rachel? Like how did that come about?
There was like 10 years of moments of recognition.
There were a lot.
There was a lot of conversations. There was a lot of maybe I won't, maybe I will, maybe I need to pull out of this, maybe this isn't working.
Yeah.
Because technically I was great at it. I loved
Yeah.
it. It was great.
Sure.
For me. Interpersonally, it wasn't the world for me. It just wasn't the thing.
It never
I
like
have this thing-
resonated with you.
Yeah, I'm way too much of a pushover until I get too mad, and then I get too mad.
Hmm.
Doesn't work well in the music industry because everybody will take any advantage of, and I just wanted to work. So I was like
Right.
the easiest target to take advantage of because I'm just freaking excited every time because I genuinely love working on audio and mixing people's stuff. And a little bit of the burnout I think I did to myself because I went fully to the technical side, totally pulled away from the creative side. So stop
That makes
making
sense.
anything myself. Try it, because we just realized there's a lot of people that can make a lot of awesome in the city. There wasn't that many people that was helping people mix, master, and polish their beats for release. I also like that part of it. So I figured maybe this is what I should focus on. In 10 years, if I can focus on this, think about all I'm going to learn about other music production and other producers, the way they lay their beats together. And then I'm going to have all the equipment and I'll just make stuff for fun.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of times of it maybe not noticing that it wasn't right, but also I put everything into it. So what do you do? You know? And so I got a first little studio, moved on from that one a little shaky and upgraded, got another little studio. And it just, I'm trying to think where I was really going with this part.
Just working through a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just was a lot. And we never wanted to give it up at the same time.
Well, you were in a toxic relationship.
In
Really,
a toxic relationship. Yeah.
Because you were being like provided with amazing opportunities, and it was stimulating because you were also like getting to work on a vast amount of projects that weren't always the same. So like you couldn't really burn out in that regard. What it sounds like, and let me know if I'm wrong, but it sounds like to me where you were spreading yourself so thin, trying to achieve like something, whether it was like, you know, the production
accolades,
accolades,
money, respect, further learning, anything, you know, like
anything.
I would always say, you know, the 3 things you want out of stuff to make it worthwhile is respect, learning, or, you know, monetary value. And you should be getting 2 of those things in most situations to not make yourself eventually curl up into a ball and burn out. One of those things, God, you better be at least getting 1, but like not in the young music industry. Not in those 3 things didn't exist. All it was, well, you have a possibility of working with this famous person.
Yeah.
And they run you to the ground with that fuel because it doesn't matter. If you're not going to do it, there's a million other kids that will
Literally
do it. And they don't really
door.
care about your skills.
No.
At that point, you know. So yeah, it was time to move on. But even though I knew it and would see it, and I remember Whoopi's probably even in this chat. I even like a few months before it ended, I think I was doing another, because we do property management as well, and that's kind of what floated the bills and allowed me to afford renting a studio because we
just lived for
worked
free.
for our rent instead of paying for it. So we spent money and spent it on the studio instead. And I was up on the roof, and they were doing some AC repairs, and I was just waiting with the AC repairman. And I remember texting Whoopi and Ron, like good friends, and just being like, I think I'm done. And I think that was the first time I ever told other friends, I think I'm done.
Wow.
Like,
you put
I
it out
think
into the universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, I wasn't able to pull away. So it's like, look, I have this studio set up. Even thinking about setting up the studio and unwiring it and taking all the gear out was like, holy shit.
Physically taxing. In comparison with the emotional tax that was associated with it.
And then you're thinking, where am I going to put it all? And so I still wasn't able to take those steps. And it was an unfortunate at the time step that forced it. But what really made it happen is we ended up getting fired from our apartment job in really shady circumstances.
We were essentially too good at our jobs. We were too good at advocating for our tenants, and the landlords didn't really want that.
Yeah.
Because when you're really good and kind and caring in this city,
well, we had to call them out for some things like violations with fair housing laws, some violations with taxes and stuff. So we were on the chopping block, but like, you're not going to do violations of fair housing laws when the apartment. I'm sorry.
We're just not gonna.
I'll lose my job.
Yeah.
And we did.
And we did. They said,
Wow.
get out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it came down to 2 people coming to our door and telling us that within 2 weeks we had to be out of our apartment, and so that was our apartment, that was our home and our job for both of us.
Right.
So within like one instant,
Everything
both
kind
of us lost our job and our home, which meant the studio, which meant everything.
We just
because it was like, holy shit. Because we also were getting paid in a free apartment rent and some stipends on top.
Right.
But when you're trying to get a new apartment in a city and you try to show people your financials and you try to be like, I swear there's $3,000 a month we've been getting paid.
Like we get, and other people, we'd call them being like, well, we were apartment managers, so we were getting free rent. And they were like, aha. And we'd be like, we have good credit. And they're like, aha. And we'd be like, but we weren't, we were getting like $200.
Here's what our financials look like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we're going to be fucking homeless.
Yeah, we were really screwed.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And luckily then had family back out, ended up having family, help out a little bit in making us not scared. And then we found this awesome apartment owner.
This little one bed, one bath with
and she just didn't give a shit.
She didn't even
Besides
run our credit.
carrying and taking her stuff, she was like, no, you guys are good. You guys handled managing those buildings. And we told her which building. She's like, great. Please just live in my building. Great. So she saved us on that. And that's where Rocco got conceived. So we'll go back to that. But that's like why going to that is that moment of we were forced out of our home. I lost my studio.
All that happened. What was the time frame for that?
It happened
like a 2-week
July.
period?
Yeah.
July 31st, and we found our new apartment on August 10th.
Holy shit, that's fucking wild.
I'll never forget that day because I told Kellen a few days prior, I was like, if we can find something by the 10th, we'll be okay. If we can find something by the 10th, we'll be okay. And we showed up, and God bless Kitty, our old landlord, showed up, told her everything. And while I'm like crying, telling her the story, she's filling out the lease, being like, okay, so you can just like, and she gave us a free week to move. She was like, sounds like you guys have really been through a lot, so I'm gonna give you a free week.
Oh my
just
goodness.
get your stuff in here. And I was just like sweating, crying.
Wow.
Like,
That's beautiful.
It was a 1-bedroom apartment
Mhm.
that had a undocumented, really
like a
even,
bonus
it had
room.
like a small bonus room to it.
Oh.
And
Nice.
so that was just the main factor because that's really what
We were like,
allowed Rocco to exist once it came about.
Okay.
Because and then I shut down the studio, and it was just all of my gear living on our dining room table for some months, literally until we started putting together Rocco.
Okay.
And that sucked.
yeah.
Because even though I knew I needed to be out, even though I'd had those conversations and I told Whoopi and Ron and told my parents at that point, like, I think I need to be done. I'd been saying it for years. I had said I'm burnt out past the point of no return like 10 different times and would keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. So even though I knew it
toxic
needed to
relationship,
happen,
like
It was every time a new project. It was like, I think this might be my breaking point, and then you would have a breaking point. You would still package it. You would get the project out and be on the next one.
it'd be so hard because it was a constant flow too. You know what I mean?
Right.
You'd be on the other one that was breaking you, and then
You'd
you
be like,
hear
one
the
more
news
time.
about a new one that might be good, and you're like, this one's gonna be good.
And it's like someone you respect and like and want to work with, and then you get into the
Right.
studio with them, and you're like, I hate this.
It's the same. Why is it
Yeah.
the same?
They aren't the same as the other guy.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so it just, that was kind of the sparking moment that changed everything for us out here.
Yeah.
We also, beyond, I totally forgot. Beyond that, we had also lost our creative project like a week before we lost our home.
Okay.
Because at the time,
Do you want to? I not to stop you, Kellen, but I want to make sure too. We have Maxstaar Rachel talk about
yeah.
her. Can we touch base
there's
on
not
that
much.
project?
yes,
Like with what's going
when we
on?
come back, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel
I
like
don't even. My stuff is not as interesting or exciting or
I disagree.
anything.
I disagree. I disagree. Please share. Come on.
I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
I have no formal training with puppets. I
Besides being a huge fan of
I just really like puppets. Growing up, my favorite movie was The Gate and Labyrinth. The Gate was Steven Dorff, about a boy who listens to a heavy metal record backwards. It opens the gates of hell and it murders his whole family. And I was like 3, and that was my favorite movie. Along with Labyrinth with David Bowie. Extremely gay, extremely violent. It's me. I had babysitters that were really into the Raiden girls. There was 3 sisters, and Beth and Leslie babysat me the most, and they were both like super in like theater and super into like puppets and voices. So like I 100% credit my like the way I interact with puppets to them. Like I had a love of puppets from media, and then my babysitters like gave me this like interacting with kids with puppets. Like,
because they were interacting with you?
Yeah, like to this day, like I see videos of like the way that I interact with kids with a puppet, and I like see my old babysitter. Like I 100%, that was like fully why I am the way I am with puppets and voices.
So did they, just to clarify too, they had their own puppets that they would do, or you had puppets at home that they would
No,
like...
I was so obsessed with puppets. I had a ton of them. Like every year from when I could start asking, like when I was 2 or 3, I got like a Pee Wee Herman ventriloquist doll. After that, I got like a giant like chimpanzee puppet that like looked like a real chimp. It like wrapped its arms around you. My mom made me like a puppet theater, and I had boxes and boxes of like finger puppets, hand puppets, like lots of hand-me-downs.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, so like when my babysitters would come over, it was like we would play puppets. We wouldn't play like Barbies. We would play puppets.
So you would,
but other than that, yeah.
Y'all would, like, you would have a puppet and they would have a puppet, and you would play puppets like that?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like we would be, I have like so many memories of just like being in like the basement with Beth, and she would always use this like bunny puppet who is kind of like looking back on it like very like the wolf from Texas. Like the awooga, like, oh, did we freeze?
Oh, a little bit. Oh, there we go. We're back. Yeah.
Hi.
Oh my god, I thought the internet just.
I'm like, I'll fucking die. I'm just never gonna talk about myself.
Is this a 6:15 thing?
Never gonna.
Like, yeah, Rachel should be on right now. Pull the plug,
right
Tony.
now, I hope.
Keep going.
Okay, so you played puppets with your babysitters, and you saw that behavior and like wanted to continue to do that.
I just thought like Beth and Leslie were just like, I mean, looking back on it, they were probably like my first crushes, but like I was like just so enamored with like every time they came over, I knew like I was gonna have so much fun because I had other babysitters. I had like lots of other babysitters, but I loved when either one of those 2 girls came over because I knew we were gonna get to play puppets, and they were both like really good at voices and like really quick on their feet, and you know,
theater, yeah,
and that alone, like just that made it the way that I interacted with my toys and other kids in general, like that kind of set the tone for it.
Okay.
I never like had any formal training with puppets. I just really liked them. I grew up dancing. I was like a super heavy into dance, super competitive, ran all my dance teams through like high school and college. Like,
okay,
the goal was like, oh, Rachel's going to dance forever until I opened a studio or did something with dance and kids. That was always the plan. I went to college for media study. I just sat around and took film classes. I wish my parents were very supportive. For me, I wish my parents would have said, hey, Rach, what the fuck are you going to do with this degree? Because the answer is nothing. Why are you taking history and silent film? Why are you taking history of pornography? Why are you taking classes called love and sex, android robots, like blah, blah. Like, I wrote some cool papers.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, my parents were really supportive, but they all ultimately got scammed by the college system.
Yeah, what are we doing? Like,
I think a majority of us can do that. Yeah. I think a majority of people's parents can or people in chat can testify for that with student loan debt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like every time
Yeah.
I like can't do like a very basic task, I'm just like, I'm still paying student loans.
Yeah.
Like I'm still, I like stub my toe and I'm like, God damn it. Could have made me smarter. Could have made me, could have been an accountant. But
Okay.
my school senior year, when I was graduating, we had a speaker whose name is escaping me right now, but he was a writer for SNL. And
Oh,
I was
very
like,
cool.
how did we get this guy? Like, what the hell? And the kid next to me at graduation, bless his heart, I was like, it definitely like broke his heart in half freshman year of college. So the fact that he gave me this like answer at all is like very David Logan. I know you're out there. He's like an insanely talented animator. He lives in San Francisco with his beautiful wife and daughter. Like they're living a beautiful life. But David looked at me and was like, "Oh, that's so and so." It would be a lot cooler if I could remember whose name it was. But
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
He went to UB. Didn't you hear about the UB Coast to Coast Symposium? Because I went to University at Buffalo, and a lot of people from UB, weirdly, ended up being like pretty big players in Los Angeles. Like,
Wow. Okay.
so weird. Like Brad Gray, the former CEO of Paramount, the Weinstein brothers, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Bobby Collins, who was a huge stand-up comedian that came up with Jerry Seinfeld. Like a lot of different people. So my school was actually offering an opportunity to fly to Los Angeles.
Okay.
And I was just like at my graduation, knew I had to get out of Buffalo. Like I just like was in such a weird place with that city. Had no plans. And so I went home for my graduation and wrote like a letter of intent, because David was like, oh, by the way, like not only are they sending people out there, they have all this money to give out stipends. So they'll pay for your airfare, your room and board. Like you just got to write an essay. So I went home from graduation and wrote an essay of like, hi, hello, please send me to Los Angeles. I need it. And they were like, sure.
Clearly you do, based on this letter. Wow.
Yeah, you seem real desperate. So I went in for the interview, and they were like, you can go for a couple of things. There's casting, like if you wanted to talk to casting directors. There's acting, if you wanted to be an actor, comedy writing, stand-up comedy, and marketing. What's cool is like there was like 40 to 50 of us that went, but like in that group it was like me, Winston Duke, who's now a huge actor, like because we went to college together, and like he was like, yeah, I think I want to really make a go of this, and he's M'Baku in the Marvel universe. And
Nice.
Brett Schneider, who is working at 72 and Sunny and runs like some of their last I checked, he was doing like product development with a few video games. So there was like a handful of us that like knew what we wanted to do, and I got sent out for stand-up comedy, and which was cool. I mean, super cool opportunity, but overall I just saw an opportunity to get out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I sent like 100 resumes out being like, hey, I'm only in town for 4 days and you should interview me because I'm awesome. And 2 places said, yeah, sure. And I went to interview while I was there for the symposium, and was handed a unpaid internship. I was like, just give me a reason to move to Los Angeles. A talent agency gave me an unpaid internship. I came home like July 28th and told all my friends, like, yeah, I'm moving. I left on Labor Day weekend.
Wow.
When's that?
That's in September. That's the first weekend of September.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just kind of packed up. I lied to everybody. I said I had been saving for months, but really I had like $400. My best friend gave me $1,000. She just was like, look,
Holy
I know
shit.
you have nothing, and I'm writing you a check for $1,000, and you better fucking just make it across the country.
Amazing.
die.
Holy
I was
shit,
like,
what a fucking
okay.
friend.
I know. I'm lucky. She was She was working for a senator at the time and totally miserable. And every time she'd go to quit, they'd just give her a raise. So she's like, I am making so much more money than I need to be at 22 in Buffalo, New York. Like, here's $1,000.
Wow.
What is it? Like,
What a fucking boss. That's awesome.
Such a boss. Yeah, and then I was in Los Angeles. I didn't know anybody. I lived in a shared apartment with a 45-year-old woman who was terrible. Told my boss I really love Halloween. Because, my unpaid internship, I started like a month early because I wasn't supposed to move until October. Since I moved on Labor Day, I called them being like, can I start my internship early? And they said, sure, we don't care, you're free labor. The day I was starting, my boss was interviewing for assistants. And she was like, oh, do you want to help? And all day long, I helped girls from like these girls all were like Ivy League graduates. Like,
Sure.
One girl was like just past the bar. And I was like, I'm never going to get, like, these are all the people that want to work in a talent agency. Like, I'm never going to be able to work here. And that evening, my boss was like, do you want to interview? And I thought she was like, thought it was a joke.
Fucking with you?
I thought she was fucking with me. I took it as like, oh, she's letting me practice interviewing. And like, she's like, yeah, you're gonna come work with me.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Like, it's fine.
What a fucking stroke of luck. That's fucking amazing. Wow.
I have an uncanny ability to be in the right place at the right time. I'm like queen of dumb luck.
Don't discredit yourself. I think like luck always plays like a little bit of part in pretty much anything, but when given the opportunity, like having hung out with you guys, say again?
You still have to show up for it.
Oh yeah, showing up is one thing, but like being able to just like fuck around and find out like you literally just like get there, you're like, well, I guess I'm doing this now, and you just jump into it. Like ambiguousness, like I'm just swimming through bullshit, like I don't even know where I'm going. It takes a lot of I mean, having hung out with you guys for so long, it's been even just like it's not even improv. I want to say the word improv, but it's impromptu, unknown things happening, and then y'all just taking it in stride, and both of you do this really well. And I mean, Rachel especially. So don't discredit yourself. It's not even just luck. The fact that like you can do that, it's a fucking skill, and you've just gotten better and better at doing it as time's gone on. You know, so yeah. No, it was great. I mean, I was like 22, freshly graduated from college. Had a huge chip on my shoulder leaving a city that really did not do anything terrible to me. I had to get out of here. And I was working. I had no friends. I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles. I desperately wanted to go out for Halloween. Told my boss, look, I'm going to a rave this weekend. If I don't come back on Monday, I am dead. And I love you very much. And call my mom. And I went to the rave and I met Kellen. And they say don't like go home with the girl from the rave. I still say don't go home. Just don't, because then she'll make you play with puppets. Amazing.
But yeah, and that's. I mean, I hung out with Kellen, and we met on a Saturday on Halloween. He hit me up that Tuesday. We like found each other on Facebook to hang out and go get the new Call of Duty. Modern Warfare was coming out. And he took me to a friend's house to go pick up our friend Charlie. Charlie at the time lived at a house with like 10 people. And
Holy
we like
shit.
just hung out. Yeah, it was like one of those like big beach houses with like a bunch of kids like fit into the rooms.
Okay.
So what I didn't know was like a month prior, Kellen had just started hanging out with this group of kids.
Okay.
So their new friend Kellen shows up with this new chick. And they're all like juniors in college, starting their junior year. And nobody knew I didn't go to their college until they all graduated.
Okay.
We were at like graduation parties. They're like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, are you gonna stay in LA?" I was like, "Oh, honey, I work. I never went to your school." I had one person be like, "No, dude, I was in your World Civ class." I was like,
No, I never.
How
I
many
lied.
drugs did you take? Betty?
I was like, I know I'm banned from the freshman dorms from your college, which is really embarrassing to happen to you when you're 23 years old, getting written up by an RA who's 19. I was like, this doesn't make sense. I don't even go here. But
I feel like you'd
yeah.
be able to just be like, I'm okay. You don't need to do that.
I was just like running in the opposite direction. She was yelling at me because I was drinking a naked juice. I was like, who puts vodka? She's like, there could be vodka. I was like, it is a protein naked shake. You are crazy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's gross.
Okay. So y'all
Yeah.
y'all met on Halloween night.
Mhm.
And was that like, did you have mutual friends or was it just like gravity? Like y'all
Do
just
you want to
happened
know? Do
Yeah.
you want to know? Okay,
Should
I can break this
is
down
it okay?
super fast. Oh no, it's good, it's good, it's good. Okay, so there was. His name is Jake Turley. Okay, I'm
Okay.
using his full name because he's awesome. Okay, so Jake Turley was my best friend Molly's first kiss in 6th grade. They
Okay.
kissed in the drive-through of the McDonald's parking lot. It was very dramatic, and we talked about it for weeks. Jake Turley ended up going to college in San Diego with a friend that Kellen knew from Denver.
Well, he
Went to high school.
One of my friends that I went to elementary school with, he was a year older than me. He went to the same college, and his best friend went to San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
which is where this Jake Turley kid had gone.
Right. So they went down to San Diego and partied all weekend and left. And during that time, they kept running into Jake Turley. And Jake Turley is probably like the human, actual normcore embodiment of Kanye West.
Mhm.
100%. Like, Jake would
Okay.
run into a room and do a backflip and like run out. Like, he's a genius. He's a chemist. He is published. He is a brilliant mind, but he's
Bonkers.
bonkers. So Kellen went to San Diego, basically thought he kind of made Jake Turley up in his brain. Was like, yeah, that kid was wild, but like he was running around in a Transformer mask and everybody.
And nobody was reacting, so I was like, maybe we were just fucked up.
But really, it's just.
Did somebody ghost me?
Yeah, maybe he didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
because
like,
me and
some
my friend Alex literally looked at each other and went, did you, now that you think about it, we're on the car drive back, we're like, did anybody else ever acknowledge Jake doing it?
No. Well, we
And we're
didn't
like,
know.
no, nobody did.
No one reacts because he's so nuts. If you react, then you're like stuck with him. So it's better to just like
Oh.
ignore.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yes. So I was living in Los Angeles. I didn't have anyone to go to this rave with. And I hit up, I was like, Jake lives in San Diego. That's how new I was to LA. I had no idea San Diego was 2.5 hours away, not like down the street. So I hit up Jake being like, I'm going to this rave. I'm going alone. I should go with like at least one friend. And he was like, yeah, totally. So he drives up and I forget even where we meet up, but he goes immediately, he's like dragging me around downtown LA, getting booze, getting this. Like, if you don't know downtown LA, it's not a place you want to be walking around in like a
Right.
Halloween costume at night.
Especially in
Not in 2009. Like, this was like now you can get away with it because there's more development, but like not as much. But it was very dangerous. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I've lived in LA for a whole 2 months and I'm about to get stabbed to death. And he was like, here, I have an idea. I have some friends. They got a hotel. Let's call them. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, take me to your fucking murder hotel. I don't care. And I'm ready to die at this point. And we get to the hotel and it's Kellen and like our friend Alex and David. And I was like, oh, you boys look nice. Hello. Can we hang out? Because this kid's crazy. That's how we met.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we met at a rave. We met at the hotel before the rave.
Okay.
But they saw the danger in my eyes.
Yeah. I bet she needs help. She needs help. This man is not safe.
I was like, I don't like it. I was like, how do you guys know Jake? And Kellen's like, we don't.
We don't know
We
him.
thought we do. You didn't know he was real. I was like,
we thought he was imaginary.
I met him and thought I made him up.
We thought he was like just a drug trip from a party we were at. We
Yeah,
didn't
so
know
when
he was a
he
real
called
person.
us and said he was coming to LA, we're like, sure, we'll meet you at the rave, because he still could have been made up. And like, why
Right.
wouldn't you like? acknowledge meeting your made up imaginary friend that calls.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's just rude. That's just
Yeah.
rude to do,
It's
dude.
rude. Yeah. Find out if he's real or not. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, so the rave was like the central converging point of the timelines between BTs and Maxstaar, and then from there, y'all were doing your own thing until the burnout happened, and then it collapsed into the single studio apartment where y'all were at like what you described was like your lowest point, essentially. Right?
Easily.
Yeah,
Hands down.
for sure.
So out of like during that time period, what was going through both yours head? Like what were you doing for what were you doing? Like what did you do what was that process like for y'all when you were there? Like being at the lowest point is, and the reason why I asked this question, just to clarify, because I talk about it on mine on the show by myself too, and I feel like there's a lot of growth that happens being at your lowest point and like recognizing where you're at and finding like some sort of outlet or something to like bring you out of it, or at least give you something to do. And so like what was that process for y'all like? And you don't need to be specific if you don't want to, obviously. But was it like slow and like gradual, or was there sort of like a click that happened and then you were just kind of like, oh, we could try this out, and then it just started working? Like, how did that?
I remember
I remember when the click happened, and before the click, it was kind of just survival mode.
Yeah, we were just scraping and surviving.
And the thing is, it was the lowest point for both of us there.
Yeah.
And it kind of ended my career.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was kind of burning out anyways, and it kind of ended my career, and it was the lowest point for both of us. But on the flip end of it, it was also right before the start of Rachel's new career, being real estate.
Right.
So
it was a weird.
We kind of just had to hit the ground and just do it. And we took some interviews for some more apartment management stuff, and like to just try to like win reshuffling life at that point. And I remember I went and walked around one of the areas where we would have like been managing apartments, and I went and I got all dressed up, and I went to Beverly Hills and was walking around. And I was sending stuff excitedly to Rachel, like, wow, this is a really nice neighborhood. Holy crap, like I'm not having to pay to live here, blah, blah, blah. And then as I was leaving, I walked past the building one more time after getting a sandwich, and I was all excited until then. And I saw a very like old Hollywood type woman coming out, going like 60s probably, who had just had some sort of cosmetic surgery. And it was in the building that we would have managed, so this would have been one of our future tenants. And I saw her just screaming at this assistant or somebody that was like with her, that was obviously completely helping her out, and like the only reason she was able to be functioning at that moment, surgery recovery. And I just realized, I was like, I can't do this again. It's like I can't sign into this again, because then we're gonna be trapped. When somebody owns your home and your job in the same thing, you just are trapped with however they want to treat you. And so I remember we pushed away from that hard. But at the same time, Rachel was just about to get her license for real estate. She had just met her mentor for working in real estate. We were in the middle of doing a combined project together where we were lightly renovating a house for
like 100-year-old house.
Yeah, like 100-year-old Spanish house that we were helping a buyer basically revamp and turn into a nice rental. So we had enough stuff to, I didn't know what career or anything I was going to do, but we had enough stuff to keep us going and to at least feel like adults, because Rachel was being treated like one and talked to like one by other high-level professionals that had done real estate for 30 years. So at least we had, in the bottom swimming parts of all of that, we find, like I said, those three things. You need respect, money, or learning.
Right.
We hit the complete bottom of everything. But Rachel was on the most precipice of respect and learning at the same exact time that either of us had ever been in. And hers was also leading the money if we stuck it out.
Yeah.
Without that being a solidifying factor, without that even being on the horizon, I think we would have immediately left and ended up in Denver instead of even for an apartment. We got kicked out.
Agreed.
Wow.
It was too much of a sign of the city saying, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
If we didn't have something else saying the other end, like we don't have family out here or anything, so it was literally like, get the fuck out,
Yeah, go.
back to where you're from.
Mhm.
And the city does that to you a lot.
LA's really
spits you
good at
up.
that.
Yeah, it spits you out. That's pretty
So-
much what y'all were telling me before. Yeah.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
survived like life through that part. And then so that was what time of year? That was August, is when we moved in, August 10th.
Mhm.
Rocco didn't start until March 20th.
Right.
So, and we were in the middle of a legal issue too because of how we had gotten fired. So now we were dealing with lawyers. We were dealing with.
We basically spent the last of 2017 picking up the pieces of what happened in losing our home. And it wasn't until 2018 that Kellen had an opportunity, or you were.
Then enough time had sunk in that Rachel could see how depressed I was getting coming home every day and just seeing my gear stacked up on a kitchen table.
Yeah.
Right.
That stuff had cost
10 years.
10 years of my life to earn that gear.
Like, not even talking
work with
monetary
it.
value. That's
Just-
life force.
It was
Yeah.
energy. And this is where neither of us still know. I give the credit to Rachel. Because I remember her just saying, well, what if we try to stream on Twitch? Oh, I also applied for a job that I didn't
That's
get.
yeah.
I applied for a broadcast engineer job with Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Totally made sense why I didn't get it, because they wanted like electrical engineers and old
Right.
broadcast engineering, not digital audio engineers, video and stuff. But with the way that that was actually shot, I would have known it. And I swear it was Rachel then said, what if we just make your own experience? Like, what if you have the gear, show that you know how to do a broadcast, just make a broadcast. What if we stream with a puppet? Because we had her Rocco puppet for the last couple years with us in LA.
Yeah, my parents sent it out in like 2015, 2016. They sent me Rocco because they were
Yeah.
selling their house.
So
So
that-
Rocco had just been like living in our house, and we would just like play with him, just the two of us. Or I would go like on Facebook Live and read my old like middle school journals out loud and have Rocco react to them. Like I wasn't doing it officially. I just was doing it to.
You're
for
just
fun.
experimenting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And and the answer kind of came about to be, yeah, let's try it.
Yeah.
And then from then on out, that was probably the middle of January of that year.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And then
You immediately were like, well, then
immediately
we're
just
launching
started
with Sea of
working on it.
Thieves.
And then immediately was like, let's launch with Sea of Thieves. There's this game I've checked out that I've looked at the alpha, played the alpha, listened to what the developers have to say about it, listened to how it's supposed to be this shared open world experience. There's no level gains or anything, so everybody's on an even playing field. They're trying to remove toxicity from gaming. They
Mhm.
want to make sure that it isn't what you've come to expect for other games. So it's like, if we're gonna do this little character,
We're gonna make it safe.
we're gonna
Yeah.
make it safe, and let's choose this game because this seems right.
Mhm.
Because we could have done Fortnite. The very first thing that ever happened of
first thing we
Rocco
tested.
was a clip of Rocco talking while playing Fortnite. Not even playing Fortnite. We were in the countdown
Oh, the
menu,
yeah.
and Rocco's just singing a little
Yeah.
song. And we put it up on a completely empty Instagram account and just tagged it Fortnite, and it got like a lot of views.
Okay.
Could have just stuck with
So
it.
we could have just stuck with Fortnite and gone streaming on Fortnite and probably like gotten pretty decent numbers right off the bat.
Mhm.
But Sea of Thieves seemed like the right thing because it matched with
They
It
aligned with
aligned.
our beliefs.
It aligned
aligned.
with
Yeah.
y'all.
It aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And even though that relationship didn't work out later, that was still without a doubt the right decision to make
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because the way Rocco grew is what created Rocco. Rachel is Rocco. Rachel does Rocco. Rocco is his completely own person that has learned from the world and reacted and responded, and nature versus nurtured as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And the character has become what the community allowed the character to do.
Right.
And the community was so solid just based on that we did organically very slow snowball growth. This whole time it's all been organic, and it's just been a slow, nice snowball. There's never been any like other injection moments, and just right off the bat we lucked out, and our very first like friends and viewers online were Kate Bit and Curry.
Yeah, Curry Colel and Kate
Colel
Bit.
and Kate Bit were the first two people that were streamers that were our friends too, and them having their communities at the time and finding us immediately put Rocco in this like
a safe bubble.
Yeah, safe bubble. Like when you do soap with the water dyes and just pushes all the stuff away.
Yeah.
It was like that. They made us this perfect little bubble of like it. That's just always going to be such an important factor to me of how Rocco grew to the way that Rocco was allowed to.
Yeah.
Was what community was there? How were they reacting to the jokes? What kind of content were they pushing?
Because we easily could have had a toxic.
Yeah, and think about it, that was pushing for the toxic stuff. But no, we had Curry and Kate and their friends and Taco and like all these other people that were responding based on
just responding as wholesomely, you know, like even from our first stream before Curry and Kate came in, it was Moig. It was Kellen's best friend, Chad's younger sister, who's like our little sister, just hanging out and being excited. Like there was always excitement. It was always wholesomeness. We were ready to turn on a dime and make it like a super edgy, nasty puppet if needed.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, there was a few times where like it would come out, but it never felt right.
Yeah.
It like never made sense.
Or he'd say something, or we would kill somebody and trash talk a little bit.
And I'd be like, I don't like that.
But
I didn't like the way it felt.
Before Curry and Kate, it was a week of streaming. 7 to 10 days of streaming where it's just us streaming to just Moig.
Yeah.
And Moig just being awesome and being there because she would respond. So it seemed like it helped because she gave enough talking that Rocco was able to be excited and respond. So then Kate and Curry saw it and saw the animated thing already talking. And saw it animated talking in a very, yes, it was Rocco talking, but we're talking to one of our best friends who became one of our best friends because they're my best friend's little sister. So we've known her forever. So you have a puppet, a disassociated Rachel talking through a puppet to our best friend who's also like a little sister figure as well.
Yeah.
So it just hit the tone of
family wholesome.
She was already talking to Morgan like a kid, but also like an adult because this is somebody that we party with. You know what I mean?
Like DJ'd her Sweet 16.
But I also DJ'd her Sweet 16.
Like,
you know what I mean? So it's like just naturally how a Rocco would talk to Morgan, being seen by Curry and Kate, and then latching onto that part of the character is really what just boom. And ever since then, that was the foundation, and Rocco's built on that foundation.
Yeah.
Well, I want to kind of like touch base on that too, because I said this. This is our first conversation, so I want to make this point too as well, because I thought it was very important. Rocco, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way in this chat. My first introduction to Rocco was Curry, because we were all on the same stream team, Kate and Curry, and they were like, "Oh, you would love Rocco." Blah blah blah. Have you seen? Curry was like, "Have you seen Rocco?" Kate was like, "You would love Rocco." And then my first time watching it, I was like, I didn't really understand why I loved Rocco so much. And it was because the innocence that life takes out of you from just being an adult and having to do adult shit constantly, and, you know, coming to terms with trauma and like reflecting on your life and just life experience in general, you start closing off those pathways to your childhood innocence and wonder and imagination. And I felt when I was in Rocco's channel, I was seeing myself. And so like that was a really big moment for me, like seeing the Rocco content in general, was being able to see myself in a cat puppet, you know?
Yeah.
And so like I shared this story previously, but I'll share it again. There was a moment where it was 2018 TwitchCon, and we were all hanging out, like the Lost in the Sauce stream team or whatever, we're hanging out, and I was elated just to be with, you know, a bunch of strangers that I didn't know physically, and then them being physically present with me, like was just like another elevated experience. And then all of a sudden I hear Rocco's voice saying like conky, you know, like from behind me, and I'm like, I just cry. I just cry because it was like I got to meet myself that day, and it was like a confirmation that everything that I was experiencing wasn't just bullshit. You know, it wasn't just like this superfluous thing that the internet just like gives us but doesn't like actually let us retain. And so yeah, it was like I'm sure everybody else can resonate with that too. It's just like it's a really beautiful thing to be able to, and I know you say disassociate, and I think that can be a part of it too, but the longer as much time as I've seen, you know, Rocco exist, I see an extension of the influences of Rocco's friends and also Rachel, you know, growing as a person and being embodied in this little boy, you know? So it's like, it's super fucking cool to see that there isn't like a static plateau. Even like in the materials for him as a puppet, like they make sense with the googly eyes and like the different hats and like all of that becomes part of these layered things that allow you to improv and experience him as a character, and you get to know him more when he's interacting with whatever it is, and the voice changes too. Like so cool to hear like the accent or whatever. I don't know, I guess it was like an accent. I don't know how to describe it.
It's been like such a development, like everything. His accent has changed, the inflection has changed, all of the delivery, and I think that's a mixture of like, you know, saving my own voice and just integrating all of the lore, like the Rocco show Bible. Like if you were to physically take it and the write down of everything from like likes and dislikes to the lore to his own little experiences, his like random fear of you know, he has like his fear of the robot vacuum, not because he's scared of the noise, but he thinks the robot vacuum wants to be a streamer, and like he doesn't want to get like these little things, and he's like such a little boy, and it's so funny because like all of his quick reactions and quick silly talking and thinking, it really is just me and Cullen. Yeah, it's just all our silliness just put into a little puppet body. Like anything silly, like the robot vacuum, it knocked into our green screen once and like screwed it up, and we just ran with it with Rocco being like, and he's sabotaging me, like the robot, like, because, you know, for us we're like, oh, that's annoying, okay, but like as a little kid it's like, oh, he wants to be a streamer,
right? And hanging out with you guys too, you can, that flexibility is there too. Like me and Nina both run like the fucking the fucking wide-legged run from the parking lot. Like, oh my god, like I'll never forget the first time you did that shit. I was like, okay, I'm taking this home. Like, this is stuff that like I would like to do with my friends all the time.
I love the running.
As like a fucking
the trick is to go as wide as possible and keep your knees bent at all costs.
Yeah, for everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's where you take the run is like a toddler run, but you do it as an adult because you can support your full body weight. So like you have all of your legs and appendages as far away from your body as possible. And it's all about just like flailing and making it look like you're using the momentum of your giant head to carry you further.
It must be as violent as possible.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I am a giant baby. Confirmed.
So that was, I mean, when it comes down to it, do y'all feel like with Rocco, where he's at right now, where have you noticed like the biggest forms of development for him as a character, as your little boy?
Oh god, I mean we're learning how to function more as a family unit.
Yes.
Like, which is such a weird thing to say about like us with an inanimate object, but like even in the last like 2 months you've gotten more into like, you get silly with Rocco, or like you'll stick your finger over in the camera, and we're learning how to like, because at first it was Rocco was a sole entity that just alluded to mom and dad.
Yeah.
There was never any plan to like even have my hand on stream.
Right.
Like ever. Like the idea that I like reach into the thing to like fix him now is like, if you told me in 2018 I'd be doing that, I would have like hives. Like I would just be like, no. We never wanted to be a part of this. Right. And So his development in the last few months alone, I mean, since July, honestly, has been integrating us more like a family unit where we talk outwardly about mom and dad and Rocco and how do we exist and how do we eat dinner and where do we hang out and what do we do, and we've just kind of like melded that into the lore. Yeah, that's like been the big change.
Yeah, I'd say another one. I'm trying to think developmentally, like what's changed with Rocco, and it's just been such a smooth flow the whole time with how Rocco's gone. I don't really think of any big ones, but the biggest that we being able to figure out that the blue mouth thing would work, so we could do both types of content was huge.
Oh, okay. Can you explain it for anybody who's unfamiliar with it?
So
Yeah,
we
that's
now
true.
what we do is when we broke away from Sea of Thieves thinking that we were going to be doing just like the wholesome game, and we realized that didn't even work when we thought we were doing the wholesome game and we weren't going to then. Rocco was censored, but Rocco always before lived in an adult world.
Yes.
Mhm.
So we would tell friends that would stream with Rocco, like if you curse, it's fine, because it's still like Rocco. People don't censor yourselves around it. Rocco lives in the world that exists, the real world.
Yeah.
You don't need to BS the real world. But Rocco himself would only respond as baby. And
Like your second grader's not gonna say like, yeah, shit. You know, like just because your second grader hears you say like, ah, shit, they're like, oh, toots.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
and it didn't, being with the wholesome game didn't really make it any more wholesome. If anything, the quote unquote wholesome game, if anything, it kind of put our viewers in the firing line of not wholesomeness. And when we ended up breaking away from that, we had some really insane support from some really, what now have become really good friends as well, other content creators. They were like, hey, look, you're out of the Sea of Thieves thing, come do this. And so we're getting hit up by like a Jason Sully.
Or Nega Oryx or that or Violet.
People that could not be considered any more wholesome as in their morals and ethics of humans.
Yes.
Right. Who happen to swear.
Yeah,
They
but
just
they're
happen
fun
to-
adults that are gonna make fun adult jokes, and they're not like, and they pull it off so well, and so Jason approaching Rocco is really what made us come about this blue mouth option.
That's
because we're
awesome.
like, look, this type of content, we can mark this stream as mature, but we have a lot of parents and younger viewers as well, and this content gets distilled to a lot of other forms that aren't Twitch. And when it's shown as a clip on Twitter in a broken down format or in TikTok, how is the audience going to know that that's a clip?
Right.
And then we kind of just messed around, realized that Rocco is grayscale and his mouth was pink.
That's not pink.
So it's, oh my God, we can do color
Filter.
filters. And
Yeah.
it won't change the way Rocco looks, and it will only affect his mouth. So we just tried it out the first time on a Jason stream, and it went so well. It was an instant marker. It became like a funny thing, and being able to have Rocco still be baby, but now, because the first steps into Blue Mouth, we still weren't having Rocco like say things or curse himself, but it was
Right.
now Rocco was going to ask you the question,
What does that mean?
what does that mean? It was
Right.
the very first time when Rocco was going to put somebody on the stand, and like Jason said something about power bottom, and Rocco was just like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit. And you have Jason on the other end just being like, oh crap.
And you can't say like I'm not allowed to answer because it's like no, it's blue mouth. Like mom says like it's blue mouth, it's fine.
You have
Which
to
is
explain.
always like Kellen says it's a great job. Like working with Rocco as another content creator, like they're just setting it up and we're knocking it down, or they're Rocco's setting it up and they're knocking it down. Like it's just such an easy synergy, and that blue mouth filter makes people feel a lot less scared to say or do the wrong thing. And then once they realize Rocco's going to react how he reacts, like even if he's a little bit spicy, he's spicy in the way of like a fourth grader trying out swear words in the back of the school bus.
Yeah.
Like he's
It's
going to say it like,
yeah, but it's never like on the nose, you know. You know, it's never on the nose. It's always like playful and like it's not taken seriously. You know, like, that's
it's never gonna punch down. It's never gonna like be in this like weird. It's never gonna come from a place of anger or negativity. But yeah, the blue mouth was.
I think really the biggest
The biggest-
change in everything else, because everything else has just kind of organically gone up the path, and we just let it go as how it would go. We haven't even changed our original stream starting soon, because we're still getting growth with the way that the stream was. So until we really hit, there's so many other ideas that we have. There's so many
plans.
cool things that you can do when you think about it. All we are doing all out here in this world is we can do green screens at home and stream it live. You can set any scene you want. It's incredible. And especially when you add into a puppet, we can build scenes in shoe boxes. You know what I mean? We can build actual sets and photo shoot them and then put Rocco in that world. There's so many things that we can do with it that we would like to get into, but allowing this character to grow naturally as long as possible has been awesome, because it just keeps getting more and more lore to it, more and more good fans, more and more good community that just, I don't know, it's just a blessing to have every single person that likes Rocco has helped form who Rocco is. Everyone that talks in chat, I'm sitting there reading chat the whole time. I'm seeing what people are reacting to when Rocco does something, but I'm not even seeing Rocco when we stream, which is a crazy thing.
You just hear it.
I just hear him. So watching the streams to me is just as crazy, because I hear it and I hear so many other sounds going on, and I'm watching chat, and then I watch it later. I'm like, I never saw Rocco do that. Because it's just distilled down to now just Rocco in the background sound of the game, and like my brain takes it in.
It's your son playing, the game.
It's back to like the music thing with lyrics. Kellen doesn't hear the lyrics. It's just the noises going on top of it.
And then I rewatch it. I'm like, holy crap! When did that's funny? I missed that part.
That's awesome.
So other than that, it hasn't been too many changes. But that's like the first thing that when we realized that we changed Rocco to pivot for something out of the blue, and the thing out of the blue was we never thought these content creators would ever want to mess with us. We always thought we would be out here on our own, trudging through, doing this thing, and all of a sudden you had people that we looked up to,
asking,
very much looked up to, being like, "Hey, I'll play with Rocco."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How can we make that work and make you guys comfortable?
Yeah.
Because all of them are mature streamers.
Right.
Even though you don't, I don't view any of them as mature streamers, but you check and it's like, yeah, these are all 18 plus streams.
I think like when it comes down to it too, it's allowing Rocco to be more Rocco. Like I know that like and I'm not trying to dismiss the non-blue mouth streams, but the non-blue mouth streams are a little bit more like dialed back and more innocent, right? Which is that's the assumption when you don't see blue mouth. But like blue mouth is so chaotic and so not chaotic. I feel like that's an overused word. It's so like nutriently dense in terms of like a Rocco dosage. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna watch a Rocco stream and you're an adult, I would recommend a blue mouth stream. Like find a VOD, watch a blue mouth stream. I guarantee you will resonate with that shit. Like no problem. So that's really cool to see that y'all had an outlet for that, and I feel like that outlet is only going to get better the more you get to experiment with it. And I know there's streamers all over who are going to be exposed to, the Granny streams, the Jason Sully streams that are like asking on Twitter and stuff. And I'm excited to see what those possibilities are for you. I want to harken back really quick about like the community aspect, because you've had people who've not only found you through Sea of Thieves, but they've stuck through the whole Sea of Thieves fiasco stuff. And if y'all want to find out more about it, they did an amazing documentary on Vice. So if you want to hear more about like the Sea of Thieves stuff, by all means, please check that out. It's a really good watch. I believe you get one free token or whatever to watch, regardless of like if you have a provider, like internet provider or whatever.
Which is nice.
Yeah,
you don't
TV
need
provider.
cable, or do what I did and sign up for a free week of Hulu Live, and then watch the episode 4 times in a row and be like, why they didn't include me?
I watched it 4 times in a row. I was like, this is so cool.
You can see my mustache. I hate it.
But I want to talk about the community aspect. So like from the start, I mean y'all were looking at inclusivity and non-toxic like community building, and I really would like to know like what was the inspiration for that? Was it because y'all like grew up with toxic gamers or you experienced toxicity online. What was like the driving force behind that decision? Was it Rocco just being like a wholesome baby, you know, like
I honestly, when it very, very, very first started, before we even like launched the channel, I wanted to be, we always said anybody can be a gamer, even a cat puppet. And I was honestly saying that from a place of being a woman. Like I was just being like, oh, we already have a lot of different people in the sphere, in the Twitch sphere, men, you know, women, like, you know,
Men, yeah.
not men, mostly men. Like, because like before we joined Twitter, the only Twitter I'd ever seen before we joined Twitch, the only Twitch I'd ever watched was Ninja when he played with Drake and Burke Black. And like, I'm not saying that it wasn't like, I'm aware there are women on the platform. I'm aware that there are non-binary streamers. I'm aware of all of this now. However, as a brand new consumer of Twitch, and we were creating something, I wanted it to be anyone could be a gamer, even a cat puppet. And from my own sense.
I just wanted to touch base on that point too, because like a lot of people's introduction to Twitch is through those main faces, because that's what Twitch makes their money from. So like, of course, they're going to market and display channels that have the most, you know, viewers and stuff like that constantly. So I feel like a lot of people, they kind of get like turned off by the whole idea behind like what Twitch represents and what they are, because most of the time they're not really showcasing the diversity that exists on their platform and the amazing content creators that exist within, you know, their platform at all. It's all about the money portion, right? So I'm glad that like you continue to pursue, you know, wanting to do the broadcasting thing, because I saw that as well. I was like, I don't even know if I want to be here, because like this doesn't resonate with me. This is bullshit, you know.
Chat's flying. You're like, isn't there anything else? And I mean, what obviously once we started the stream, it was, I mean, I'll let you take it from here, because it was your dad that really like woke us up to it with Rocco and the accessibility stuff.
Yeah, the timing of the way that worked out was we were a couple weeks in.
We had just gone live.
It was probably just around maybe Curry and Kate finding us, maybe even a little few days
April,
before
May,
that.
yeah, maybe.
And it's funny because my dad is such an outdoors person. Like I said, they've been very supportive always with what I like in my endeavors.
Yeah.
But my dad is so an outdoors person, so not video games, so not movies. Like you can't even get him to sit still. He won't do it. Like that's the only thing that he judges without being unsupportive, but he really judged leisure time.
Sure.
Growing up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I was very surprised when we started this thing to have my dad be the one that called. Obviously not surprised that he supported and liked the idea or was down with us trying this thing. But he called and goes, hey, I really like this Rocco thing. And I've really realized in recent years that video games are very important for our patients. And that connection it's not he's like, I never understood that video games were going to become this social platform. He's like, I always saw it as a disconnect, not a way to connect. And he's like, and I'm seeing this now. I see what you guys are doing on Twitch and in the therapeutic rec department, which I had grown up doing all sorts of volunteer work there at Craig Hospital in Colorado. They kind of had a changing of the guard of the amazing therapists that I grew up with, and it was now the new young ones that were our age that had come in and took over. So they were doing video game nights on Thursdays and bringing people down to show them how to hook them up with accessible tech. And the Craig Hospital team was some of the people that got to put input in on the Xbox adaptive controller. Able Gamers also did a ton of work on giving that input. So they kind of made games a big thing. And my dad called and went, would you guys be down with Rocco doing any teaching sessions or hosting things or anything? We're like, yeah, we'd love to.
Okay, we gotta figure out how. But...
We would love to. That would be incredible. And then literally like the next stream we were streaming, and that's the stream that Craigums from Able Gamers found us.
Right.
So both
Shout
back
out
to
Craigums.
back.
Sorry.
Shout out
Yeah,
Craigums.
shout out Craigums.
So both back to back, just like serendipitously, I hear from like Craig Hospital being like, yeah, we're doing this type of stuff. And then Craigums finds us just by searching the Sea of Thieves directory. He was just working out.
They were in like Vegas or something.
Yeah, I believe he was on one of the conventions or something. And he just was doing his comfort thing. Being like, I'm trying to go to sleep and calm down and can't play my video game. So I'm going to watch people play Sea of Thieves.
Right.
And there we were, just in the directory. And like, if anybody's met Craigums, I can tell you when he saw a happy smiling puppet, he just lit up and went right to that channel. and he loved it. And he popped in, and that's immediately when we looked up Craigums, and it was like, oh,
Like, wait a minute.
Able Gamers.
All signs are pointing.
So all signs were really pointing to, oh my god, and that anybody can game and be anybody can be a gamer. We're like, we can really make that about for everybody still. For
yeah, but not
all-
just a gender thing.
but not just a gender thing,
Yeah.
not just a diversity thing, just fully in the aspect of like, yeah,
everybody.
Everyone. Games are
Um,
for everybody. Yeah.
games are
Mhm.
for everyone. And we realized too with that it helped so much to be able to talk about accessibility in gaming, because the only thing that you can do to troll the cat puppet is go in and call out that the cat puppet's
a puppet.
a puppet.
Yeah.
And so the most you can do to troll Rocco was actually the thing that would launch Rocco being able to give you an elevator pitch of why accessibility is important. So it's like, great, we can literally turn a troll into making us give an elevator pitch about why we believe in accessibility. Awesome. And it
Beautiful.
just became instantly clear that was to be the mission
That was
statement.
the mission. Yeah.
Because that's what Rocco, that was still, it's not like the mission statement changed, but we found a focused cone of it. Because
Right.
before
Well-
then, Rocco was good for good's sake. That was all.
Yes.
yes.
Well, just to add
That's-
to that too, like, I mean, I can relate to that very much so, because like as a content creator, when I first started out on Twitch, it was very much like my own endeavor, and I didn't have like anything that I had that was beyond me, and so it was very
Right.
ego driven.
Mhm.
However, I can't see how you would do that with a cat puppet. Like, in all honesty, it'd just be like, well, we want to have fun, you know, with the
Yep.
with this, and we want to make people laugh and give
Mhm.
people like a safe space to exist. But yeah, having like that extra layer of like, okay, and we're doing good, you know, like that is so much needed. Like, I feel like if anything gaming related, and Twitch has done a great job of, or not Twitch, but the content creators on Twitch has done a great job of, is helping people through donations and, you know, educating
Absolutely.
people on things. Like, I'm so glad that y'all found that, because it makes, again, it adds to the identity that is Rocco. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I was so jaded and so burnt out from such a toxic industry as a music industry that
Yeah.
I needed to see good.
Mhm.
So even if we had to create the good, I needed to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do it anymore, and I probably should, but like actually rewatch the whole streams. But it's just like that ends up being so much time.
yeah,
When
of
we're
course
streaming
it
for
is.
4 hours and we're setting it up and doing it. But like the beginnings of Rocco, that first month or so, I would go to bed myself and replay the streams.
Oh,
and
we
that,
would both fall asleep
that
watching
is what
Rocco.
would allow my mind to stop catastrophizing about everything and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's when I started fixing my sleep, was literally because we had to create the thing that was positive enough
It
to
gave you
play in the
peace.
background to make my mind shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And you know, think about when Rocco was made too, was when you add up the year and stuff, we're looking at Trump years.
Yeah.
You know?
We were like really
And
rushed into.
seeing how the internet was attacking everybody. Basically, we all attacked ourselves with the
Right.
we let the internet attack us, and when we realized instantly that we even only had 5 people that we were offering a positive place online, we're like, look, I don't see many positive freaking pockets on the internet. If we're being given one, no matter how small it is, we have to
Foster it.
foster it and believe in it, because I don't see too many other ones. And who knows, this might only work for 3 months, but while this is a positive space, that feels like a lottery win right now.
100%.
We
Yeah.
have to respect it. We're like,
Yeah.
this means something else. And then with the serendipityness of my dad bringing it up on his own Even just the small connection of like Craig Hospital and then it's Craigums that works.
Like, what were
for
the
able
odds?
gamers. You know what I mean? It's just there was so many weird little life signs there that was like, yeah, you just do this. And nobody said no. People had always supported us. We'd run a record label before. We'd set up a comedy show. We'd done stuff.
A lot of stuff.
And people were supportive. Always. Like they were like, yeah, you guys are doing it. Good job. This is the first thing that I showed people of all ages, of all different backgrounds and job titles and everything. And not only were they not saying don't do it, everybody was like, holy shit,
like,
this is insane. You have lightning in a bottle right now. If you're able to put extra time into this, do it. And I was like, well, that's great. I lost my career. You know, and it's like,
do I have news for you?
And like, you know, and so it's like everything falling apart's what allowed it to happen, because we wouldn't have had the time before. And now we do, because I'm able to. Rachel kicks butt and is doing her real estate stuff. I've got to get my license once we have a bunch of other stuff figured out. But
like right now, this is
I've been able to still manage a couple other properties, pull in my side that we need of money. Rachel pulls in hers, and then Rocco, you know, is really the backbone of the whole family.
We make jokes about it, but it's true. Without Rocco, there'd be no groceries.
So, you know, it's just a blessing, all of it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that people let us do this.
Well, I mean, y'all had great intentions, you know? It's not even like you came from a place of... Rocco was created in a place where you needed hope, and you needed like a force of positivity, even if it was like forced. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be some sort of like channel for us to do something creatively so that we can get out of this mental rut. And financially, like if that comes, great, but like really we got to do this shit because this sucks. This scenario sucks.
Yeah.
And then with that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, it's all of that and self-preservation. It was like we gotta push for it to stimulate and to preserve, because we were hitting a point where like we couldn't pull ourselves out anymore. We had used all of the spoons to pull ourselves out. So it's just it was a dire. It was do or don't.
Do or don't. Yeah. Or harken back to, or not harken back, but going back to one of the most famous puppets, do or do not. It's not try, right?
Do or do not. There is no try.
There is no try.
There we go.
Oh my goodness. I think this is a good time to get into the Q&A. Does that sound good to y'all?
Yeah,
Awesome.
totally.
I'm gonna run and go pee real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Don't knock anything over.
All right, I feel like that I've got as much.
We did it.
As I got. Okay, we got it all. Okay. A lot of these are from last time. I got them all. Fuck you guys. I got them all. Okay. I went back in the chat and grabbed them. Okay, so this one's from Quiet Riot. What are your favorite kinds of soda? Not counting warm/spicy Coke.
Bro, I was drinking a spicy Coke during this stream. That is my answer.
I think since it's a Rocco answer, I gotta give the kid and the adult one. Kid was grape soda. Adult is Dr. Pepper.
Oh, bitch! But cold Dr. Pepper. We drink cold Dr. Pepper.
Soda.
Warm Coke, cold Dr. Pepper. I also like Barks root beer.
Barks root beer. What? Grape soda is also like crushed grape soda. That's good.
I don't think I could have more than like a sip of it now.
I haven't had one in a long time. I haven't
like,
had a.
I just thinking about how sweet that is. Like, I honestly don't know.
Oh, my mouth is watering.
Yeah, I want it, but like I don't want to open one and find out how good it is. Maybe.
This one we kind of went over, but maybe there's like something to look into. This one's from Lucia. How did the Rocco production idea come about? Like Rocco production.
Trauma.
I still really put that one on Rachel's idea.
What about the puppet? Like, where did the puppet come from?
Oh, so Rachel had the puppet for a long time, since growing up.
I got it summer before 8th grade. So June 2000. I got it at a craft fair. We did find the woman who made the original one. Really sweet lady. She was an art teacher in upstate New York. She
just I hit her up and she did make 2 extra Roccos for me from like memory. They're just like a little bit too uncanny valley.
That's
Oh,
so
you met
badass.
them.
You
You were
met
at
them.
our
Yeah.
house, and
Yeah.
I scared everyone. Everyone was like, I don't like that. Like
Yeah.
everyone equally was like,
You called him Boppo, right?
Boppo and Nako, my nut
Yes.
sons. I was like,
Yeah, your
those are
nut
not my
sons.
children. I don't love them.
We don't talk
But-
about them. We don't talk
Mm.
about them. Yeah, I remember. Remember when I was like, "Is this another one?" And you're like, "No."
I was like upset.
You're like,
Like,
"No."
don't look at them. I hate them.
These
No.
are not my sons. Yeah.
Which is so funny because like, so I had them made and then the lady shipped them on like a Monday and was like, hey, I did 2-day shipping. They should be there on a Wednesday. They
Okay.
never showed up.
Oh God.
Weeks went by. I was devastated. I was like, some like crazy person took my package, opened it up, saw it was puppets, threw them in a ditch, like, or and I was just like, and we still don't know what happened. We think like it may have
Oh.
like been delivered to like the wrong apartment, and then
I'm assuming with the link that it was and then how nicely we got them back, somebody must have been on like a vacation and had a friend watching the place. They
Mm.
probably just pulled the mail in,
Yeah.
brought it in their
Okay.
place, and then the person got back and was like, oh, this is not my package.
yeah,
Because they came to us unopened and perfectly fine, but they were gone for weeks.
weeks.
Okay.
And like, you know, the mailman, like everyone had been like, you know, this was fine. And I, you know, we coming from property management, I know how annoying it is when someone's like, no, I can eat my package. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, but like, I need this. I need my sons. And then I opened them up and I was like,
She did such a good job. They were just like, it was literally like, she did too much of a good job without them being exact. That like
Mm.
when they were that close, just a little bit different of a pearl, or like his
Yeah.
eyes being a couple millimeters different,
bit
was like,
different.
what's happening?
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
hurts. It hurts to see
Yeah.
it because like it's just like a little bit difference. But when the eyes
Yeah.
are too far apart,
Whiskers
you're like,
roll
"What do you?"
thick.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You okay? I
Like
did
that.
look on my Instagram,
Oh my God.
and I do have the first video of Rocco ever.
Oh, nice.
From September 10th, 2016.
Oh my
my
God, look at
goodness.
his little face. Kellen would put songs on. Oh, you're gonna have to turn off the stream.
Oh yeah. I was like, how am I talking about what I'm talking about now in that Instagram video in 2016?
are you
Okay.
just gonna hold it up to the camera?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Kellen used to put music on and I would just lip sync to it on the couch.
Wow. Damn. 7
Yeah,
foot,
and it's just
8
literally
foot
just us
punch.
chilling at home.
Nice.
Like
That's
hungover or
amazing.
something on a Saturday, or and
Okay.
just was that's how we would hang out with him at home. So even once they sent him back, it's not like he was just living in a box.
No.
Like he was out,
Right.
and Rachel would grab him quite often.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the long answer to that.
I think one time I was even like
You were too
too hungover
hungover.
and like just yelled, "Put him away!"
I like
can't
came
see
running
me
in.
like this.
He's like, no, don't let him see me. He's like, hello. It's like, no, no.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I like that. I like it.
It's so real.
The next question is from Jurassic Park. What do you do to de-stress after a long day?
In
Oh,
general,
holy shit! I wish I could figure that out.
I take stress naps.
Stress naps,
I just sleep.
hyperventilate until you pass out.
The whole last year of 2020 hits like it's been so much more stressful in the large
Yeah.
scale mindset, but so much less stressful in the day to day.
Yeah.
Well, because
The
we're in
stress-
routine now, you know?
Yeah, and like for me, where my anxiety in life really hits, like the anxiety that gets my acid reflux going, gets me all sweaty and shaky. That's the one of being out in the world and making it to meetings and doing this or doing that, or
During a
and
panorama. Yeah.
during the panorama, that part of the world was gone. So it's weird. It's like I'm so much more stressed with so much more anxiety. But for me personally, a lot of the things that plague me with my anxiety and with the way that I don't really still adequately know how to deal with my stress, some of those things went away from me this year.
Yeah. Because we were hanging out a lot. Like,
because we're hanging out
digitally now.
digitally all the time. There's always like friends to talk to, and I think I'm so much better. I overthink a lot too, so if I can keep myself busy with friends around,
Mm-hmm.
it really stops the overthinking, which then leads to the actual bubbling anxiety
Yeah.
moment.
That
So
makes sense.
yeah, I don't know, just being around good people. I'm trying to think of something that's like, I wish I had advice on what to do to de-stress after a long day, but it's Rocco. Literally, that's what's
Rocco.
hard to
Your
tell now. What
creative
is
project,
the de-stressor of the long day? Because the de-stressor usually happens in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then that's the thing that makes me feel like we accomplished something for the day, so I don't have to feel
As bad. Or
as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally.
Yeah, productive.
Like the
that.
de-stress really is in our life. Rocco is a de-stressor.
And then I get on after, and then just get into a Discord with 20 yelling people and yell. And it's funny because I'm
Just
very
playing
loud.
Valheim.
I'm very
Yes.
loud in that environment, and I've always been a quiet person. I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like talking on mics or anything. So it's funny that I've now taken the switch into being one of the louder, more talkative people in a room of people talking a lot online.
Yeah, but I mean that comes
It's an
with
interesting
also like
switch.
the bleed that happens with like the personalities that mesh with you, you know? Like
Yes.
Nina
Yeah.
is like a perfect example of that. Like me
Oh yeah,
I definitely got weirder just by being in proximity of her, like growing up, and then us getting like because me and her, believe it or not, me and her were not like the same person. I was an asshole for a lot of my life, and then like
Yeah.
we got
She tells
reacquainted.
us.
Yeah. Yes, she does. She does. I was an asshole for a lot of my life, and a lot of that was just, I mean, it was, I don't want to get into it because that's not what the focus of the stream is, but we got reacquainted, and
Yep.
through like
That's the
her
cool thing
being a
about
fucking
life.
awesome person, like it helped me become not only like a better version of myself, but it made me feel more comfortable in my own skin, because like it was
Yeah.
you know, your trauma buddies, like you go through traumatic
Yeah.
experiences together, like we're now bonded forever, you know.
Yeah.
Like it just works like that. It's
Yeah.
just, you know.
This is best friend time. Yeah.
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 Okay. So next question is from Curry, and I feel like I gotta get real close to the mic for this one. Okay, ready?
no.
I'm ready.
You got games on your phone?
I got so many games on my phone.
games on your phone.
I got my phone.
Show him your games on your phone.
You got games on your phone? Yeah.
You got games on your phone?
Wow.
How many games are those phone on your play? How many games on your
That's a
phone you
lot
play?
of games.
That's a lot of games on your phone. I never saw you play any of those games before. You got Clue on your phone? You got Clue on your phone?
I got Cluedo on my phone. I got just for Conky. I got Let's Start. Got some SpongeBob on my phone.
SpongeBob.
I got Genshin Impact on my phone.
That's dangerous. I still have not played Genshin Impact because I know it will mess me up.
Yeah, I same. But the most important game I got on my phone, Steam Link.
Okay. Relax.
Steam Link.
Look at that. See that?
The
Hunt,
best.
Marvel Adventures.
Someone help us.
Grounded.
Someone
and
help
Valheim from bed.
From bed.
He wants
Honestly
that.
though, can we talk about how fucking crazy it is? We went from like blowing into cartridges to like the
Yeah,
shit that we
and
have
shit
right
like
now.
in bed. He's got it, and he beep beep, and it dee dee, and I'm watching, and it's all going to space.
We're all
and
just a
I
bunch
don't
of
get
fucking
it.
boomers like with this shit. I remember. Okay, because I went to art school. I remember completing an animation file, fucking waiting for that to go onto a hard drive, and it was like 10 gigabytes. Okay, 10 gigs onto a hard drive that in USB 3.0 wasn't a fucking thing. Okay.
Nope.
And
No.
so I had to wait like 45 minutes. And then from there, take it to a different computer in a separate building to put it onto a
walk.
computer to render. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
this is fucking. And then the cloud happened. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. It was like
Yeah.
2 years after I went to
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I graduated college in 2009, so and I went to like I was in film school, and it was so crazy. Like my senior year, I was watching the Film 101 students be like, "Well, yeah, of course. Like you pay to get your film developed, and then you just
Yeah.
like you cut it all in Final Cut." And I was like, I was literally hand cutting and splicing.
Yeah.
And I hate you.
Yeah, I hate you. Yeah. Yes. All of it was like fucking very like
Yeah.
physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
only started to change on the way out for me.
Oh, man.
I think about that every time I pay
shit.
my college loans too.
Spoopy Ghost question. What's your favorite scary movie? You have one? That's a heavy question.
There's so many for Rachel.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot for Rachel. Is there like one that when I said that you were like this one immediately, or
I have like comfort horror. I could do like my top 10.
what's your comfort horror?
Like, for those of you that don't know, I keep like a master genre list of like horror movies by subgenre, and there's at least like 700 titles on there. And I watch anywhere from like, not lately, but usually like 1 to 3 horror movies. If I like, I'll put it on when I'm cleaning. I'll put it on when I'm hanging out, and put it on at nighttime.
And you've watched
What's your
it.
favorite
You've watched it
nostalgic one?
often enough to like know what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Favorite nostalgic one? You know, it's Child's Play 2.
What's
Child's
your
Play 2.
favorite slasher?
Slasher
Final
movie?
Girls.
What's your favorite new modern, like?
New favorite monster movie is gonna be The Ritual. New favorite like also It Follows, or like Babadook, or The Guest, or Honeymoon, or it's just
Wow.
A lot of horrors. Start making a list.
It's a hard
I would
question to
say
answer.
And what's
mine. There's so many that you've showed me and taught me, but initially when I first hear that question, my answer goes to It Follows, because that movie. There's just some pieces of media, whether it be music, books, movies, video games, where within a few minutes I can tell that it doesn't matter what my opinion is of the movie. It's good. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Where you can just tell, it doesn't matter if I like this style, it doesn't matter if I like this story or the way that it ends, but why it's good is I can tell that whoever made it made exactly what they were trying to make.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is what they saw in their head, and they somehow managed to, through the process of delegating tasks, directing, financing, making something, they made what they wanted to see. And those are always the ones where I'm like, that if I don't like it, I can't. It's because I didn't like it. It's not because the thing wasn't right, because the creator made what they wanted. And
That makes
It
sense.
Follows is one of those movies that immediately from the first 5 minutes,
That
with
opening sequence.
with choices they make, with music, with ambiguity of what date it is it in the past, is it in the future, is it in the present, even the coloring that they did in it, it's just they did whatever somebody saw in their head is what I'm watching. And then I also ended up loving the story and the way that it went. So yeah, my favorite one is It
Wow,
Follows.
you have such a good answer. That was such a better answer than mine.
I didn't know horror before you though, so I don't have a nostalgic one
Oh, that's
and stuff
fair.
like that. Like
Yeah.
But we're dropping a lot of frames right now, so give me one moment while we wait for the connections to come back here. Sorry everybody about the internets. Looks like this is on my end right now.
That's why it was a bummer last week that it cut out, but it made me think honestly how blessed we've been that the internet's worked here for the last year. I was like, this could have been doing this to us every day.
Just the one time.
The one time.
Okay, we should be good now. I'm trying to think like my favorite horror movie. I want to say The Thing. I don't know why.
I love The Thing. It's
It's
so good. The
yeah.
practical effects. John
Yeah.
Carpenter's so fucking weird.
Yep. Everything
love
about it's
his-
just super
Ugh,
weird.
Everything.
I like sci-fi horror. Like I like my dad was always watching like Tremors and shit all the time. And like The Thing was always just one of those like I don't
Dads
know, it
love
was
The
cool.
Thing.
It was
Dads
just
love
cool.
Tremors, and dads
love Tremors.
love practical effects.
Yes. That's for sure.
What it comes down to.
Our next question comes from Rabid Tribble. Are either of you disabled or just really awesome abled allies?
Just allies. And
disabilities.
yeah, and I lucked out with growing up with my dad doing head injury and spinal cord. He was a doctor for that. So I just kind of always grew up without any negative stigma about disabilities.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you volunteered a ton.
I was always over at the hospital doing stuff, or we go play tennis. the therapeutic rec department. Go and do Hobie Day, which go out on Colorado, so we don't have much water. We had
I was like, it's
a little
Hobie Day.
reservoir with E. coli in it.
Cool,
we
cool,
go out
cool,
and we
cool,
go sail.
E. coli's for everybody.
So yeah, I kind of lucked out with just the experience that a lot of people don't get to have when they're younger, of being around people that have different disabilities, and just normalizing that through childhood.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question, from Harley Night Ember. How did you pick Rocco's name?
We're not fully sure.
We
I think
don't
it's a
know.
pizza place.
We
That was
think
close to
it's-
our old apartment.
Yeah, we think it was named after the pizza place.
Rocco's.
Rocco's.
Seems
It was
appropriate.
like, yeah, we lived in Miracle Mile. There was this place called Rocco's. It's run by two guys from Long Island. Our
Okay.
best friend Drew is from Staten Island. Just like a super down home, Long Island based family that happens to live in LA now. It's the only place we could get like legit pizza.
Because you'd always had Rocco, but he came without a name to us.
Okay.
Like, he didn't show up with Rachel being like, oh, she's like, this is the gray cat puppet.
This is my dude. This is my puppet. Like I didn't.
He didn't
And
have a
Rocco
name.
just made sense. Rocco
Yeah,
and
and I
Rachel.
think because Rocco's is the
Rocco
pizza
and
place is
Rachel,
definitely
yeah.
it because they had somebody from Buffalo there.
That makes sense.
or
I like,
from New York. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Sometimes I think his name was almost Harvey, but Harvey
Yeah,
was.
he would have been a cute Harvey.
He would have been a cute Harvey if he was mean. I think if he was a nasty little cat, he'd be a Harvey.
Okay.
Nasty.
This one's from Crafting Gal. How do mom and dad balance talking about real deep adult topics and keep it family and little kid appropriate? Like, where do you figure out where the boundary is? I think it's
That's
kind
you.
of like,
I don't know.
I think it's all you, Rachel, because like I feel
Yeah, I was
like
about to be like, I don't know.
I feel
What
like
do you mean
you-
you think it's me? I was like, I have no idea. Rocco to me, Rocco's just as much magic when it's happening to me as everybody else. All I do is I get the
I feel
image
like-
and the audio out, but like,
But you're
it's
also
magic
the
to me.
showrunner, because if I'm doing too much or pulling it or pushing it too far, you will have to sometimes be like, hey, just remember,
you're like, hey,
Yeah, like-
it's your dad telling you to calm down, God damn it.
just
Yeah.
chill out a little
Yeah.
bit. 'Cause I'll be like, and then we're gonna burn it down, and he's like, maybe don't.
I think only
That's true. That does have. I've seen
it's
the
very
reel back.
rare.
I've seen the
but
reel
there's-
back, but you know where that boundary is because like it's when the demon Rocco comes out. It's like,
Yeah,
we're
Cole's
gonna
like,
bring
no,
it down,
no,
and you're
no.
like, okay, Rocco, no, not.
It's
don't
like,
do
just
that.
go back to talking about equality, dude. You were killing it.
You're killing it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But you know, I think we both like keep a rein on it. I somehow managed to do it in a way that I used to be a nanny, and you
so
know,
you're doing that live. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm showing that line
naturally- I
anyways.
think naturally, you just. I think the character. It sounds so weird, but it's like Rocco keeps it in check.
Mhm.
Of
The
course,
character has
yeah.
become so ingrained to the rules of the character
Yeah.
that it's like Rachel doesn't even have to think when in that character
Well,
to not stay there.
Yeah.
I think like going back to that conversation we were having about like how you're tapping into that like childhood innocence, like as a kid, like you know where the fucking line is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna walk on the line, like that's one thing, but like going past it, like you're not gonna go far because then you gotta run back. Like it's too
Right.
dangerous beyond that point.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
and in general, with Rocco, the things that are everything until also the community would say rein it in, we're kind of just testing it. People have been letting us go further than we thought. You know what I mean? We haven't heard any negative backlash from Rocco Bloomhouse. So also like the community members and stuff in here, don't ever be worried to let us know, because we are still trying to dial all this stuff in and
We're
figure
still
out what
learning.
maturity we can be. So
Yeah.
if it does go too far, if it gets to the offensive level to anybody, please let us know. But I just think that the rules of Rocco and the wholesome world around it so much that the jokes might end up getting R-rated on Blue
Okay.
Mountain, but I don't ever see that
Going
little
too far.
character. Well, yeah, or being offensive. It's
Yeah.
I agree,
just like it's
yeah.
gonna be wholesome. Like Rocco can just like we had Lady and Cooley on the other night talking about just eat and beat the whole time, and it's like
It worked out. Rocco was able to.
When Rocco's gonna talk about sex situations or things like that, it's gonna be brought up, and it's gonna be in response to the conversation starting by somebody else,
Right.
and starting by somebody that's allowed to start the conversation.
Right.
Rocco's not gonna respond. Yeah, Rocco's not gonna respond to a
Rocco's
comment
not
with
gonna
a
ins-
sexual
Rocco
innuendo.
doesn't, like,
to a
initiate
male
that
comment with
conversation.
sexual innuendo. Like if somebody overstepped the line in one of our like Among Us lobbies, let's say it's somebody that we
Sure.
didn't know because nobody we know would do that, and started pushing towards one of the women in the game
Right.
or anybody that was making them feel sexually uncomfortable, Rocco's not about to comment and joke on that.
No.
But
Right.
when somebody clearly is in the power of their own situation making the joke, or you know, like
Or
a
it's a
lady or something
consensual-
like that, then it's like, okay, Rocco's gonna respond back to this and be totally fine with it. But
Yeah.
you
Right.
won't see Rocco tagging on to somebody else's who's punching down. That's the best way to say it. Rocco's never gonna punch down. No
No.
matter
Yeah.
what,
No.
Rocco will never punch down. So
Yeah.
when Rocco gets adult, it's in addition and adding on to somebody else punching themselves up and being okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So-
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been an interesting learning curve.
Well, I mean, it's experimentation is really what it is, and like
Yeah.
Bluemouth hasn't been around long, so you're gonna be finding where that line is and feeling it out like while it's happening in the moment. You're not gonna really
Yeah.
have the ability to, like, be so caught off. And I really doubt this will ever happen, just because when it comes down to like the Rocco circle in general and the people that are involved with Rocco, they know what they're getting into. It's never just like somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
And there's no
Yeah.
ambiguity around that. Like, you trust and support everybody that's going to be involved with y'all, you know? So, like, that's super
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
You hold it close to the chest, and that's important.
Yeah.
So this one's from Kukachu. Would you ever consider enrolling Rocco's son into comedy school to help with his questionable jokes?
Every
He's gonna
day.
need it.
Every day.
People are spending a lot of channel points on that now. It was one thing when
We're
those
trying.
jokes didn't cost anything, but people are paying for those jokes
It
now.
costs a lot of channel points.
They're paying with their hard-earned hours. That's more valuable than money.
Agreed,
And they're just
yeah.
out here letting the little turd sometimes tell a joke and sometimes not.
The other
Really?
night he told a joke and you literally was like, "Whoa, that was a joke."
I don't know what he's gonna say either. And so I just sit there and just wow, yeah, he did tell a joke the other day, and I remember like almost yelling and like so loud it probably almost picked up in the mic. It's like, that was a joke.
You were so
I can't tell if that's good or did you break the rules?
Did you look up
Did
a
you tell a
joke?
real joke?
You can't do that. Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, so he'll need it eventually.
It's so funny. The little Rocco telling a joke is inspired by I used to babysit for two little boys, Quentin and Theo, and they're both just the sweetest little boys. And they were the first neurodivergent kids that I ever got to nanny, and teaching them things like, learning how to speak with them and tell jokes and get them interested in movement and telling stories when a child is like taking things very literal. Like I remember saying like, hold your horses, and like Quentin getting upset because he's like, I don't have any horses. And I was like, whoa, okay, we gotta start over. So teaching them how to like tell jokes, Quentin was always like a knock knock, who's there? Like
Very literal, yeah.
there's a hat on your head. And I was like, I can't. Ooh, that's me. But it was always very funny and sweet to me because he would work real hard on these jokes and and they were so
earnestly.
funny to me.
Yeah.
So every time little Rocco's telling a joke, I just think of like Quentin, like such a funny kid, terrible joke teller.
Yeah.
Really funny though, like really funny. I mean, now he's delivery killer, but like just.
Okay.
That's
cool though. So like, I mean, that's another portion of Rocco inspired by another person.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see that, like, the switch, because you were talking about how like you were inspired by your babysitters. You know what I mean? So like you fulfilling that role in this capacity is like full circle.
Oh yeah.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
I found videos of myself on Instagram like doing puppet things for the kids that I babysat. Just like, and I always used a like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding me, like a really like high like, because
above the
I
pencil,
thought the cadence of it was really funny as a kid too.
Yeah.
So it's there's definitely a little bit of these kids in Rocco and Little Rocco, but every time Little Rocco tells a joke, I just think of Quentin, who's got to be like 10 by now, which is alarming. And
Wow. Wild. Okay. No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. We've got about 11 questions to get through, so quite a bit. Thank y'all for all these submissions, and that doesn't even include the ones I copied. So I want to make sure I'm respectful of y'all's time. So let's make sure we I'm gonna pick and choose ones that I think will be good ones.
yeah.
Nina asked, do you see yourselves playing a more prominent role in the streaming world, either on Rocco's channel or on a separate channel? And yourselves, meaning you two.
For Rachel, for me,
For both
I
of
would
you.
say the only time I would see if I would want to start a channel myself is if we can get some of these. If we can basically get it to a level where I were to rebuild out a studio and go into audio engineering work again,
Mm-hmm.
I would trial the idea of streaming for education, me working on audio.
That'd be cool.
That'd be
Um,
awesome.
Just
Can
like,
you
hey, look,
speak up a
here's-
little bit more?
Oh yeah,
because
just like it's cutting out a little bit. Okay.
a little bit.
Yeah, just with me doing audio, like this is what I do to from stage 1 to the end of mixing a song,
Mhm.
or something like that. That's kind of wherever I would see that I would do streaming if I did it.
Off camera, just editing, like live streaming your. Yeah, I like that.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wants me to get into the more like the podcasting stuff. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I almost right before we like the homeless like getting kicked out of our house thing, I was booking like a full podcast because we had like a really successful stand-up comedy show, and I thought like, okay, if I launch like the podcast while we're doing the stand-up show, I can have stand-up comedians on it. It'll be really cool. We'll shoot it at, we'll record it in the recording studio.
Mhm.
And that all kind of fell apart. And now, thanks to like, being around so many great, funny, talented people and having access to like Discord, and now we have this set up, like I could potentially like do a monthly, like I have like 3 different ideas, and we'll see like if I actually can follow through with it.
Yeah, basically it'd be a Twitch stream but podcast, but then just stream it.
I think a
because why
Nina.
not?
I think a Nina Rachel podcast would be really
Oh, that'd
fucking
be-
cool.
Just call it the doo-doos, and it's just
The
us
doo-doos.
going,
Well, that's literally what I just listened to all
I'd
day.
listen to it.
This is great.
But literally, we do listen to it all. Kellen doesn't have a point. You have
Yeah,
like a
it has-
full
Kellen has
Discord of
just-
people listening to you. Both of you do that all the time.
Kellen will like quietly close the bedroom door because I'm just in the room going, I'm a doo-doo. Jesus Christ, it's 11 a.m. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Talking to Nina.
Talking in the air, drinking coffee. Yeah. Oh god. This is a good question. This is from Tights Guy Jeffrey.
Tight guy.
So you are both all three of you so woke. The community you have built really appreciates it. Can you talk about why Able Gamers is so important to you? I know we touched on this, but like, do y'all want to add some more onto that?
I think in general, the same thing is just accessibility for everyone. And Able Gamers, so many charities are good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Of course.
But man, does Able Gamers really like walk the walk that they show that they would?
They
Mhm.
do.
Everybody that works there really is about the mission correctly. They really this is not a photo op
No.
charity. A lot of charities are photo op charity.
Especially in this sphere of inclusiveness.
Yes.
It's real easy to get a group of people together of all different colors and abilities and smile and
Yeah.
leave. So easy to do that.
Yeah.
And Able Gamers is absolutely not doing that.
They're there to help anybody and everybody. They ask what your abilities aren't. They ask what your abilities are,
Mm-hmm.
and they set you up with,
Mhm.
with what you. And the pandemic year, it didn't make it any more important to us than it was before. But the pandemic year, I think, showed to a lot of other people why it's so important. is we don't want to leave anybody out. When we're literally making and building new worlds and new technology for us to access fake worlds, we better not be leaving other people
Why
out.
would you ever want to leave people out?
We can design this stuff. We have full control.
Right.
So the more, and like that's the other thing with Able Gamers has gone so far beyond just being a charity that helps get accessibility to people. They are doing research projects that are leading this conversation.
Nobody's ever asked why people play games.
They literally are the first ones to now have a research grant to be doing research on like why people play games. People weren't even asking those questions.
Yeah, they were just
And
making
so
assumptions, you know?
Yes, and so now they're doing all this research. It's just an incredible thing, and all the people over there are just
Such a great team.
the best hearts that you could have in working
Agreed.
in charity at all.
Yeah.
So
They made
the
it
mission
easy.
statement is right. The way they pull off their mission statement is right. With what I was connected to, my dad, it just feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that. That was beautifully said.
Let's go.
All right. Let's see. Q. This is from BM Green. Do you have any advice for people who are new streamers that are struggling? I think this was if you're Green, if you're still here, when you say struggling, is that with like, I think we would need a little bit more specifics with that, but I'll give y'all specifics with this.
I feel like I know kind of
You
the two
know.
answers that I always say with this one
Yeah.
to people. And it's hard because coming from our place, it's like, it's such a different thing because we did get to hide behind something, especially on my side of it. I'm not putting myself out there at all when
No.
we stream. It's a lot easier for us to do that. Technically, we have a harder setup, but we do get to hide behind something and not put ourselves out there. And I really admire everybody that does do it as themselves.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
whether it's a character of yourself or whatever, but put yourself out there and does this and tries it for whatever your aspirations and goals are with it. And I think I've noticed though, because like our arc was so different too, because it was a puppet. So we did get to luck out to have like that one extra little thing of like when somebody comes to your channel, what's your other thing?
Yeah,
we didn't
what's
have to
your
be
hook?
scared like everybody else. Unfortunately, sometimes get scared of what's their hook and then stops acting naturally because they don't. And when it's just like it's just you being you is that hook when you find the right community.
Yeah.
So we did luck out with the Rocco being the hook, but I think this thing that I still noticed for most other people starting is realizing how big your little numbers actually are is one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Coming from the world of Los Angeles and trying to do performance art, anything in front of people, or Rachel doing stand-up. If you wanted to get in front of an audience of 3 to 5 people in this city, you're gonna wait in line for 3 hours to hopefully do an open mic, and then
Yeah.
you're hopefully gonna do your open mic to 3 to 5 people. The other ones, most of them are gonna be people waiting to do the open mic too, and they're writing their jokes.
They're
and
writing their
stuff
jokes. They
down.
don't care what you're saying.
They're not paying attention. So I know sometimes it gets discouraging for people to see sub double digits in their chat, but realize how incredible that is. And those people are showing up for you. So be the best you as if you're streaming to 500 people, no matter what.
Every time. Every time.
Every time, always.
Perform for the back row, even if
Yeah.
there's no back row, you know?
and,
Like,
and really understand how much 5 people is 10 12 50 20 each of those numbers up is like it's so hard to get people to listen to you. And then the other thing so just like remembering that so you keep yourself more positive and don't ever look at the number either.
don't look at the number while
Don't
you're
look at the number
streaming.
while you're streaming. And then the other thing that I see a lot of people do is get worried that they think they need to stream more at all these different times to boost themselves, and then they get discouraged because they're not getting the numbers that they want. And from the outside, as a viewer, I always say, if you're struggling, pull all your stream back and commit to one night a week that doesn't seem to clash with the community you like to watch on Twitch, that you chat in those streams, and commit to that one night a week at a certain set time. That one night a week at a set dedicated time, like Jimmy goes live on Wednesdays at 6 to 8, even only 2 hours, and that's just the thing that person does Wednesday. I'm gonna know as a friend and supporter that wants to be in your channel to help you grow, I can go to your channel each one of those nights. But I see people do this panic thing, and I see them start popping up all over at different times and all these
They
other
do a 10
things,
a.m. They
and
do a
then
6
getting bummed
p.m.
at
They do
themselves.
a-
And sometimes that's fine too. Jump around. We haven't in the pandemic been able to stick specific periods of time.
No.
But it's just that if you're doing that, don't beat yourself up for feeling like dwindling numbers and stuff, because it's not that you're there too much. It's that
People don't know when to find you.
you're
Right.
there so much that people don't know when to find you. And if you just pull it back to once a week, a dedicated set time, do your socials like you're doing it. And all these people in this chat, anybody that I would be giving this advice to, they're all understand. All of you are already in a good side
You're in the
of
good
Twitch.
spot of Twitch.
You're
Like,
in a part of
good-
Twitch where the creators are kind. You're in a part of Twitch
Yeah.
where they will notice you and give advice back, this and that. And so you're in a great place if you are remotely interacting with anybody that you've seen in this chat tonight. If you recognize any of those names from different chats, different places on Twitter, you're in the good pocket of
You're in a good
people. I've been
spot.
around genuine people that create for decades, and
Yeah.
these are good people.
Yeah.
So don't burn yourself out thinking that's the way to get more viewers, because a lot of time the way to get more, less is more. Something I had to learn in audio a lot of times. If you want to make bass sound big, you want to make a kick drum hit, it's less, it's not more. That's the way that you make something impact. So I
Agreed.
kind of view the same
Pulling
way
it
with
back.
the way you stream.
Yeah.
It's just pull it back and laser focus 1-2 hour slot instead.
Yeah.
And then build out from there.
It's about quality,
and
not
then-
quantity. Yeah.
Yep, and then
Always.
third one that I'm gonna steal from
Yeah.
Nega Oryx, because I think it's the best random bit of advice that I've heard somebody give other streamers to practice. She said brilliantly in hers, she's like, and feel free to use my chat if you need to do this. Go to practice chat and just record yourself. Go practice stream, record yourself. Don't actually stream, and pull up another streamer's chat that does move. And you play your video game and you record it, but you respond to that viewer's chat. And
Good
that's
practice.
and then you go and look at it again, because you can't practice talking to chat in your stream, because that comes as it builds.
She's so smart.
So yeah,
She's so
seeing her
smart.
say
She's
that
smart.
was one of the best things I've ever seen, to be like, that's the way to prep yourself on how do I get this flow and this cadence while
Yeah.
I'm playing a game and talking to people, without doing it live and burning yourself out because you feel like you made a misstep because you didn't calculate how much you should talk to chat versus play the game.
Right. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's really smart.
I think
Shout out to
like
Nick.
another, I think just to add on to this too, like for this channel, like I focus primarily on talk shows, which isn't a very popular category on Twitch, but I think like a really big thing too is this whole past like 6 months has been me getting reacquainted with like myself and what I initially wanted to do on Twitch. And I think like when you have a gut feeling and like an intention with your content and yourself, it's very easy to be influenced by the other people who are on the platform making content and seeing everybody on Twitter interact and feeling like you're left out. And so like that whole feeling, the intention that you have can be easily diluted or lost as a result of like you pursuing this thing that you think a Twitch channel should change or become. And so you dilute yourself, you dilute your content, you dilute like what you wanted to bring to the table without really understanding like why that's happening. And I think more like going back to what you were saying, streaming less is a really big part of that, because it gives you the time to see your content for what it is, observe your own behaviors, watch your own streams, and really like understand, you know, where you're at. Because when you're swimming, you don't really know how far you've gone until you like stop and see the distance, right? And
and then you might be too exhausted.
Right.
You went too far from home.
Right. And you feel like you're burning out and you're not fulfilled, you know, because you have no direction now. You've just been swimming and swimming and swimming.
Yeah.
So like that as somebody who's done that multiple times, because it happens, you know, I think like taking a break and really reassessing what's important to you is a really big part of that. As far as just like the normal things, like I honestly think the YouTube content and just content outside of Twitch is a really big thing too. You have to make your own discoverability unless you have something that's like super nutrient dense like Rocco. Like
Absolutely.
that's something that transcends outside of Twitch, like easily.
I mean, I will say building a solid Twitter helped a lot with building our Twitch for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I started the Twitter a week ago, actually. It was 3 years ago last week. And it like posting, following, talking, chatting, everyone, I hate the word like, make sure you get out there and network. Well, yeah, like network, but like be genuine.
Be yourself.
Like make friends with the people you want to be friends with. Don't be like, that person has 100 viewers. I wonder if I could collaborate with them. No, do you want to be friends with that person? Go be friends with that person. You're going to get infinitely more out of it instead of seeing people as collaborators versus friends.
Right. I think like, I think when you're talking about the friendship thing too, it's all about like, this is so weird because I feel like every time I talk about this, it comes back to full circle with like music production, but there's like a resonance that you're at, like a vibrational accord that you're at with people, and you just feel there's like some people that you watch where you're like, fuck dude, I'm like right there, like I'm right there with you on the same tone, the same like note, and that's how I felt with you guys, because like, and then I'm like Nina, same note, right? So it's like that makes sense. And then there's people like you're talking about that strive for like those higher octaves or lower octaves that they're just like barely touching. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the same vibration as the person they're trying to interact with, and it's clearly just like there's another motive there. You know what I mean? There's another trying too hard to like make something happen that shouldn't happen. And just let it happen naturally. And if you're in the same like gravitational pull, the same vibrational accord, eventually it'll happen. You don't need to force it. It's just a matter of like being present and being yourself, and eventually, and
and that's really hard, especially when putting yourself out there and getting into content creation. It's
terrifying.
It's really hard because it's really lonely out there too.
It is.
We are also overstimulated and oversensitized, and so much information. We see so many faces now scrolling through our Twitter feed that like, and Instagrams and stuff that like, ever notice people started to look kind of similar after like a couple years ago? We were never we were never supposed to see that many faces.
No, our brains were never
So
meant
it's
to.
Crazy that we have so many faces and so many humans that we see that our brains are starting to be like, well, there's a lot of similarities with all these different faces.
Right.
While also at the same time, it's really low there. So I get where it can be so frustrating when those vibrations aren't working, and then makes you feel a little bit more isolated and lonely. But from somebody that has let the wrong vibrations take up my life for way too long, it's not worth it to force where it's not working. I'd rather be lonely and strong than let somebody else's vibrations tear you down. And that's like, it sucks to say like be lonely, but that's it's the only advice I can really give in that is just, man, it's so much better to be you than to not. It's better to be you and lonely than to have crappy people around you and lose yourself. And I've seen both sides of it.
We've lived both sides of it.
I feel like that's a common human experience. Everybody tries to be something they're not, and eventually they're so unhappy with themselves. They're like, it's again like the whole swimming analogy we were talking about, where you're swimming and swimming and swimming. You don't realize where you're at, where you're going, and what your surroundings are.
Tired.
So you feel lost. You're just exhausted, and it's a weird. I mean, we could talk forever about like the social media experience and like what that's like as a streamer. And that's a whole nother conversation. But I totally y'all had a lot of really great points, and that was a good question. Thank you for asking that.
It was a great question.
All right, so let me check the poll one more time and see if there's anything else. I think we are okay on this section. Okay, so that was good. I feel like this is a good one, like a nice little short one. How often do you really eat cheese fries?
That's it.
Do we tell the truth? Can I just tell you guys how we came up with cheese fries?
Yeah,
That's just going to be the answer. Okay, so when we had first started streaming, it was like literally within like our first, I think it was like literally, it was the night that Curry and Kate Bit first came into chat. and I was like rushing home from work, and we had no dinner. So I was like, fuck. So I picked up Top Round, this like local like roast beef on Weck, which is like such a Buffalo thing. Like it's this restaurant that just serves like Buffalo food. And I got us roast beef sandwiches, and I got cheese fries. And when I was in the chat that night, everyone's in the chat being like, oh my God, I've never met a puppet before. Oh my God, hey, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite this? Hey, what do you like to eat? And I was like, I eat cheese fries, because it was literally the last thing that I slammed to my mouth before we went live. Like I was just like, ugh.
Amazing.
I like cheese fries. And I was like having acid reflux. Like that's literally where the cheese fries came from.
That's awesome. Okay.
And how often do we eat them? I mean, like I
haven't had cheese fries in years.
Oh no!
We had cheese tots at TwitchCon 2019.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think
And I get animal style
fries really do count as a cheese fry.
They are. Yeah, they're.
But like that's probably where we get it the most. And like I will order animal style fries whenever we get them. So it's been a lot more frequent. But like a restaurant that actually had cheese fries on the menu, oh my, I don't know how long.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the honesty.
No, don't apologize. That's why we're here.
Everyone in chat's like, she's a big fat phony.
Big fat phony. So this is a good question. Will you let Rocco age?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't think so. Every time I've thought about this, like personally, and I have weird beef with when cartoons do it.
Yeah.
I think the idea
like
of like
all grown up.
Yeah, or like South Park going to fourth grade. Like, yeah.
Like it just scream, okay? That's not good, dude. You don't do that.
No, it doesn't feel right. And in Rocco season 1, there was a brief moment. We already experienced in Rocco season 1 him being a little bit older than little, like because he referenced having an ex. He referenced having an ex-girlfriend named Allison. Like it's what we named the AC after, because she had a cold, dark heart, like my ex Allison. And he used to talk a lot. And it like when we went on our hiatus and we came back, it truly did not make sense for me to put any sort of. Rocco has a son. I don't see him getting married, having babies. I don't see him doing things. I see him like.
What about like teenager, grown, nothing like that? He's stuck.
No.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
okay, that's beautiful.
Forever.
That's good.
The age is still kind of ambiguous in general.
He just
Agreed.
It's like,
yeah.
You know, and it's like we
like
do
he
say the
shows
7.
like the
he can act a little
angstiness.
teeny for sure, a little pre-teeny. But as far as like,
and it is funny because we have the birthday every year and we talk about his physical age.
Yeah.
Like that he is physically aging and getting older. I don't know what happens when he comes back from surgery. Like
that's true.
I think he might actually be like a 6-year-old when he comes back from surgery. He just looks, without telling too much, guys, he like literally looks like if Jim Henson just went like
Smoosh
to like
his
little
forehead.
Rocco's face.
Yes.
He just looks like a little. He's just a little muppetier version of himself, but he definitely looks. He radiates little boy energy.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a kindergartner.
Yeah.
So maybe he's
like,
forever 5.
I feel like as soon as whenever that happens, like that is gonna be like a new. It's obviously a new chapter, right? But it's also gonna be like, season 4. It's gonna be like a refined, like we were talking about like the nutrient denseness that is Rocco. Like it's gonna be even more. Like
yeah. It's a great question. I just
that was good. Yeah.
Having seen his other facets of his possible personality, I prefer him little. I prefer him in that magic age between like 4 and 6, where you're babysitting a kid and every little thing they want to know everything. They're so funny. They think they know everything. On top of it, they say things like, I have a really good memory. It's like, no shit, you've literally been on the planet for a week. Like we all had good memories when we didn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Like your hard drive's not even
but
like
I remember those
full.
thoughts as a kid. I remember those thoughts of being like, God, I've got such a good memory. All these people are complaining about like my back doesn't hurt at all.
Where are my car keys?
And Yeah, and I just jump off the bed and I don't
I
care.
set my
Like,
wallet down on the fucking kitchen counter this morning, and I was like going outside, and I was like, "Where's my wallet?" Like, these are the problems we deal with as an adult. Okay?
Yeah.
We don't need that shit.
no. And you
Yeah,
got
but
some,
I'll ask my kid when I
yeah,
have one.
some
you know, where it
5-year-old's
is.
like, I can't believe he doesn't know where you put it. I
Yeah.
know.
Just
Like,
doing the Jimmy
Logan,
Neutron,
help
like
me.
brain blast, and like I know where it is all the time. Yeah.
We'll have a kid just to tell us where we put our
Yeah.
shit.
We kind of already touched on this, but what's what's next for Rocco? Any big goals? A sibling? We talked about like the new chapter of Rocco that's happening, so that's
Yeah, I
exciting.
mean, the new puppet is like a huge development for us, and Rachel Burson, the puppeteer, it has been just putting in such great work on him.
was this the connection y'all made at TwitchCon?
Yeah, with you.
Yes.
That's amazing.
were out there.
That's so cool.
When
With,
Tyler, Apocalypto
with-
12 came up.
Apocalypto came up. We were.
I was like, I know
ecstatic.
him, and you were like, he's helping me with their puppets, and I was like,
Yeah.
And he was literally
Wow.
just like he.
He went to high school with Rachel.
It was amazing, yeah, because he came up to us, and even earlier that trip before exchanging that information, he's like, I have the person
that's
that I
amazing.
got to show you. They're the one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, well, thank you, new
New.
angel that I just met this TwitchCon. You're
So
really,
cool.
really awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah,
We just found
she's-
out she went to high school with Apocalypto, lives in Los Angeles, and I was on the phone with Nega Oryx last week, just like having a phone call, and randomly she was like, "Oh, do you know my friend who she's also a puppeteer, Rachel Burson?"
We're
I was like,
she literally has Rocco right
"She
now.
has my son in her house." Like,
If you want to go steal Rocco, Negs, right now is your
yeah,
chance.
right now.
Yeah.
So
Know
like,
where he's at.
so if there's any doubt in your mind as a fan of Rocco, just know the woman making new Rocco is so tightly ingrained in our culture and our foundation and as a community as a whole. Like, there's no way she's gonna mess this up.
Yeah, and then
Beautiful.
I'd say for other things, production-wise,
Wow.
we have
so many ideas.
so many different ways of wanting to do content, so many things that go way beyond just Rocco being in the corner of a screen for gaming.
Yeah, we want to get out
and
there.
that's
we wanna
where
do things.
we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we have been in a long fight at our home to
Yeah.
get his
The
space
space.
built.
Yeah.
We moved, and when we moved into the place we moved into, there is a space that is perfect for setting up a studio for Rocco. We have been in just some unfortunate bullshit with that,
Bullshit.
but life
It's
is life and
bullshit.
stuff happens. So that's why the hiatus happened, was we thought we were gonna move
And set up.
and we weren't able to set up, so we ended up just
9
we set
months
this all
in, we
up
lost
in
it.
like our living room and kitchen. Just let it take over the house, because why?
We just
nothing
gave up
else
our
in the
Because they're
house.
not using
Yeah.
that
So,
shit for
yeah.
anything else,
And-
you know?
Yeah, exactly. And
Whatever.
long story short, with it, Rocco organically at this level is still growing so well, and we are still getting so many new amazing community members that treat each other good with this organically,
Yeah.
that I'm kind of stoked that we were stopped from doing our other
Me
productions.
too.
Because I'm loving this path. I'm loving everywhere it's going. And had we jumped ahead and changed our content, instead of letting it just be this safe place for people to land in, unchanging longer and
Yeah.
longer and longer, we might not have had a lot of the community that we have. A lot of you guys got here since July last year and
Mhm.
on. And so yeah, there's a lot to come for Rocco. We want to be doing all sorts of
Everything
things.
from like in person. Kellen always wants to bringing back our comedy and music roots, having people come over and premiere their albums while they sit on the couch and play a game with Rocco, where we go track to track and Rocco can talk to the artist. Think of like, you know, when you see Elmo and like a comedian,
Yeah.
like they're together, because we can virtually do it, but there's something to be said about
No,
the
when you're
in-person
physically
interaction.
when you're physically present with it, it becomes like
The
more of a
puppet.
tactile, like
Yeah.
real thing, and
yeah,
more of like
so we've-
you. I don't know. It's a lot easier to play off of that. Yeah.
And doing more
Yeah.
things like talk soup type situations.
Yes.
Like there's
Yeah.
so many places to go with it.
lots of stuff.
Yeah. So
Man on the
there
street.
will be things.
We want to run around with our
and-
little
yeah.
these things and just be screaming.
Yeah,
into
and
a
like
microphone.
do on the street live shoots. So there's just so many things. It just comes down to getting our space set and right. But that's where everybody's support has been good, because we've been at this fight for 2.5 years. We've been in a legal
Too
battle
fucking
about
long
this.
is really what it is.
And
I'm
the
tired.
community makes it worth it, though.
Yeah.
We're fighting for, because we have people to give the content to once this is over. It's all temporary. It's bullshit to go through it, but everything is temporary it will pass, and we'll have more diverse content by then for everybody. But thank you for supporting us. We're kind of in a bootleg setup right now, and
It is
it
very
just means the world that everybody gives us the drive to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, y'all make it easy. Let me see here. What else we got? Oh, this is a good one. Rocco has been invited to a variety of streaming events as a guest or a host. Which event are you most proud of?
Oh
Ooh.
shit.
I know, I said the same thing when I finished reading the question.
Wait.
You want me to read?
Wait, is this a hypothetical, or are we naming things that we've hosted that we're most proud of?
Yeah. Well, I guess like this is
Or
related to
things that we've been
Rocco
involved in.
specifically, like streaming events as a guest
Yeah.
or host. So which
I
event are
think
you most
guest and
proud
host,
of?
all of them have been great. I mean, even one of the first ones as Rocco as a guest host would have been Race of Legends, probably, as Rocco like
That was the first time anyone let me
onto their channel.
to
Otherwise,
shoutcast.
to shoutcast.
Like,
that
I-
was awesome.
Yeah.
There's been so many, but I would say if you had to just put one and not to knock anything else, there was something really freaking cool about them inviting and including Rocco and DragCon.
Yeah, that shit was
To have,
crazy.
to have other creators that work so hard on their characters and are so technically skilled and comedically skilled and from a group that has gotten ripped apart and
Yeah.
made fun of, and the fact that they were like, we have a stage and we're gonna let your cat puppet share the stage with us,
With
and some of the
us.
struggles that, because they create, and in order to get to the level that they've gotten at, they've had to also deal with a lot of hate
Mhm.
to create the way they want.
Yeah.
We've been showered with love for being a positive thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had the little toxic thing that sucked, but that wasn't because it was
It's a-
bad for us. The reason why that sucked is it was showing us like how really bad it is for everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
Like
the
it was
fact
always
that they-
present. It just happened
Yes.
to be directed.
It just
at you.
happened
Yeah.
to us, and it was a blip in the comparison of what other people deal
Yeah.
with. But
It
like,
was the,
yeah, like
it was the first step for you. I mean, just like everything else that life's thrown at you guys, like it's fucking
Yeah.
bullshit for now.
Yep.
But and then you're gonna come back stronger and know what direction you want to go
Yeah.
with it. You know.
everything's an opportunity for learning. That's
yeah,
the thing I gotta remember a lot. But yeah, that was just a really cool thing. Everything else has been just as cool.
Yeah.
But that one kind of broke a little bit outside of the Twitch world too, because it was DragCon that had to be hosted on Twitch
right.
because of this, and then to be included in a panel with, yeah, it just was.
That was a cool thing.
That
for
was really
sure.
cool to see. Like, oh my god, you guys look at character as involved and as hard of a thing to do as what you guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, because
Yeah.
I'm
That recognition
incredibly
is pretty
impressed with
huge.
The performances.
Yeah.
So
Totally. Totally.
Wow.
That's a good answer.
Okay. Let me see what. So I've got two more questions. It looks like that we can
Yeah.
go through. So apologies for everybody else. I know that like the queue wasn't open, so I copied as many as I possibly could. Totally my bad.
You can
I'm
just
a
tweet at
professional
us.
streamer. You can just tweet and ask questions now. So this, I don't know who asked this, but my favorite thing is when Rocco mocks mom's voice. Does your voice ever get tired during stream?
That is a good question. My voice does not get tired during stream anymore. I used to lose my voice constantly in the first season. I was sick constantly. I was losing my voice constantly. Now I was a trained singer, and traveled a lot for it, sang a lot, had nodes, needed pretty invasive surgery to get them removed from my vocal cords when I was 22, which getting rid of the nodes was good. It's good for singing, but like also who cares? I wasn't singing anymore. It was almost like removing calluses because I never lost my voice ever. I could scream all day long, would never lose my voice. Now, because I don't have that protection, lose my voice very easily. So learning how to do Rocco was
So
such a
nodes are
learning
good?
curve. Nodes are technically bad,
Okay.
but it was good for me as someone who liked to scream a lot.
Okay.
that
Okay.
make
Okay.
sense? Like,
yes, it does. It
Nodes
does.
are really terrible for singing.
But for
really
screaming?
great if you want like a really rough.
You like roller coasters.
You like
Yeah.
roller coasters, real good.
Got it. Okay.
At least according to me. Like I was like, I miss my. Yeah, and it wasn't until you reached out to me when I was on Lost with the Sauce. Conky hit me up being like, hey, I can hear sometimes in your voice you sound a little bit fatigued. Like, here, I'm gonna give you some warm-ups for Melissa Cross. He ended up getting me the full DVD and CD for it, but Melissa Cross, you know, she does a lot of vocal training with metal bands, screamo bands, people that scream for a living. And holy crap, I mean, Rocco's voice used to sit
You could feel it up here.
and now Rocco's voice sits here.
You could hear that she had to push too. It was like pushing take a balloon, and when you pull it and it makes a squeaky noise. It was like pushing air through that to get the noise to make. So it's like it would happen, but you could feel the strain.
I like
of it.
kept my face like this even. Like I
Yeah.
was like,
And it hurts.
oh,
Yeah.
but now like I can do
Just
it all
dropped it. You
here.
can tell it's just like an actual chest voice. So it changed a little bit, but it's not. It's way better, and you're able to do it for
Hours.
I can't believe we do 4-hour streams.
I don't lose my voice at all anymore. And then I didn't notice until someone else pointed it out, but when I do the mom voice, it's not my voice.
No.
Mom has like a very deep, like,
Yeah,
it's because my
sensual.
register's already down here for Rocco.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
the second that I go talk, I'm like, well, hello.
Well, a lot of times you do it in the same breath too. Like you'll do it and you use the residual air that's at the bottom of your like lungs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where your extra tank is. And I'm like, you're
Yeah.
doing it all in one breath. And
I
she's
did
doing
it
it.
all.
Yeah.
She did it all.
Yeah, I was really happy. I don't want to take credit for it, but it was like this
It
is
changed my life.
This is a serendipitous thing, like in general. So this whole stream has been serendipitous. But like, I have an animation degree, and I don't use it except for like transitions and stuff that I've made in the background. Okay, there's like tiny things that I can do motion graphic wise, but most of the value that I got from college was two things. ADHD makes you really hard, like you don't understand when people are uncomfortable, and so like the fact that I'm even having conversations and focusing on podcasting and like reading body language by looking at the camera and knowing when we need to move on and all this other shit, like that is not just a natural ability. I've been fucking doing that for like 10 plus years in retail, and I also had a class for like 6 months to learn body language, and I was like, this shit is like super important. I didn't even know about it.
Why'd they make us take gym class and not that class?
I know.
What the fuck?
And then, well, not everybody needs it. Okay, they know when people are uncomfortable because
not everyone needs to learn how to play tennis.
yes. But another portion of that was the voice portion, like voice. There was some voice acting involved, and I just happened to be in a screamo band, and I was like, I would like to make like a screaming voice. And then I heard about Melissa Cross, and then that's when I started doing the vocal warm-ups when I was younger. And I was like, ever since then, I'm like, I can recognize, because I listen to screamo music like exclusively for my angsty teenage years when I was an asshole, when people were screaming improperly and they were fucking up their vocal cords, because it happened to Avenged Sevenfold. It happened to it happened to everybody, like almost everybody that I knew. And their first CD was like fucking wild, crazy. I'm like, your voice is fucked next CD. You know what I mean? And then it would be completely different, or they would have to change it. And so I've just carried that with me forever. And I was like, now I can hear it. I can't help but hear it when I'm listening to people on stream. And so for anybody who's on here right now, like another streaming advice, like do fucking vocal warm-ups, and that DVD CD combo is fucking $25.
Do your voice warm-ups, drink your water, like your body,
you giving Rachel those files, even with a different register, like, or the ones like set for your range, more so, it instantly changed it. Like instantly, the next streams were better, and then I wasn't sitting there freaking out the whole time too.
And my voice hasn't cracked since. There's been like only times people are like, oh, Rocco, are you okay? It's literally because I'm having like an allergy attack outside.
Yeah, like Moy used to be able to hear it like 45 minutes in. Like, well, it changed. And now you can stay in even when you're tired. It's not because the voice is hurting you. You're tired because you've been doing it a long break.
Right.
Yeah.
Not because you're hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Truly.
That's
Never lose my voice.
I'm glad that I didn't know it was that like
Dude.
drastic. I didn't know you were not getting tired or like fatigued because of it.
I
That's
was
super awesome.
losing my voice nonstop. I would get sick for like a week at a time. I was getting like crazy. Like it was all the bad things. I was essentially straining and probably bruising. I don't know if you can bruise your vocal cords, but I was like definitely not letting them heal and then jumping right back into it. I don't get vocal strain at all anymore. If anything, I have to be more aware of my shoulders and my like body.
Posture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's super cool. Yeah, I think like, I mean that's great. I mean I can't tell you how it helped me with, yeah. I just like it's become more like Rocco's confidence portion like is even more confident. It's really cool just to that's awesome. I'm glad that was super
huge.
I mean, fucking awesome.
I feel like on to other people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Please keep passing that on.
Crispy's voice got hurt because he was trying to do voices a couple weeks ago on stream.
Getting Crispy into
so
warming
instantly
up.
She's
now.
like, "Look,
oh, nice.
Conky gave me this. Let me pass this along to you." So
please keep sharing that because like there's so many people who even if they mention it, like I even listen to it and I try to help people out, but like it's not, it's obviously not my like. I don't want to overstep, so it's all about like, am I close enough to talk to them about it? And if y'all are proponents in the space, like you are advocates, so like please continue to tell people about it.
Yeah, because you reached out about it before we were like really friends. Like honestly, we just knew that we were on the same stream team, and that was like one of our first interactions was you being like, "Hey, you should probably be taking care of your voice," and I'm like.
It came from a place of concern because like I was
because you could like you can hear it.
And I was like, the last thing I would want, especially for y'all, like to take this beautiful thing, Rocco, and not be able to perform because of you hurting yourself, and that's like the worst thing.
That's like my biggest
self-inflicted.
nightmare.
Yeah, like I can't even imagine not. My name's fucking Conky Talks. Like if I wasn't able to talk for as long as I do, like I'd be boned. It's super crazy.
Yeah.
True.
Okay. And then let me see if there's any final questions here really quick. Let's see. Well, do we have a photo? This is the final question I have here. Is there ever going to be a photo of the adaptive setup that Rocco uses? Does he use foot pedals or just a single hand pad?
I don't see us like.
It's such a changing setup all the time, and I'm worried to because there's so many cool devices within accessibility things, and people will like we very much luck out getting to have access to some of those and try them out, not because we're disabled and need them, but because it's good to know what these things are, so we can kind of help educate and advocate to other people about how to use them, and try to donate them to good sources and to somebody that needs it. But I think we've always been weary of then showing a Rocco setup of this is what you need, because I think that all of a sudden gets into the advice on what somebody else needs accessibility wise.
Or the haves and the have-nots.
And I don't want to. I want to leave all of that to enable gamers, not showing. We could maybe make this work with a puppet, and then have people in their own heads being like, if I have limited mobility and only use one hand, maybe I should do it like the puppet. I don't want anybody to think of how to figure out how to get into something as important as their own accessibility in this world, based off of people that don't have disabilities that are allies, I guess. So at the end of the day, showing that it's like, well, this is how we can make it work when it's not because of focus on an accessibility reason. I just don't want to have that guide anybody in the wrong direction, because you never know. It's hard to get responses from people sometimes. It's a pandemic year. The queues for some of these lists are long. I don't want somebody to be like, Rocco did that, and then all of a sudden just go online and drop $350, order stuff, and it's not right.
And it's not the right thing. Yeah.
It's more about, Rocco's more of like maybe you haven't heard about able gamers and the controllers or accessibility options available, and then Rocco's the avenue for discovery.
Yes,
not like
I would much rather.
If I only have this, are there things out there like that? Then Rocco's always going to be like, there's even the foot pedal. There's even, you know, you can do this accessibility controller
Yeah.
plus these switches, but I want to make it all about what can match to you, because we're still new enough in this space and we don't want to make mistakes. So from what I've heard from able gamers and stuff, since they take that stance of it not asking what you can't do but asking what you can do,
Mhm.
I
Right.
fear that us showing that would approach some people being like, well, I can't do this, so I need this.
Right.
And
That makes sense.
learning from able gamers, that sounds
And-
like already the wrong way to start that conversation with somebody.
Yeah, and we've always felt very strongly that, like, no matter what, seeing someone utilize, there are so many incredible creators right now on Twitch that have disabilities that are streaming double cameras to show you exactly how it's working for them.
And that's why we worked
How it's
very
working for them.
excitedly about like the Craig Hospital setting up their
Yes.
stream, because Craig Hospital and what they're trying to do every time they have a streamer on is showing them using their control setup, what their control setup is while they're playing.
Yeah.
And that one I think is great. That is actual full.
Like, Rocco's not
It is there.
disabled. We're not disabled. We don't feel we feel right in promoting it and talking about it, in educating about it. However, when it comes time to like show us your setup, there's something, it just doesn't make sense for us to show it because Rocco's not necessarily disabled. And like you said, like, show
I
me
want you
that
to be guided by the experts.
there's a reason why Able Gamers has incredible peer counseling.
Yep, and really, if you are trying to look for those type of control setups used, follow the Craig Hospital Twitch channel.
Yes.
It's just Craig Hospital.
Craig Hospital.
And every time they go live with a streamer that shows what setup they're using, how is it,
Mhm.
and that's very good and educational, especially if you yourself are having limited mobility and trying to get into gaming again, or if a family member,
Yeah.
just anybody close to you.
Yeah.
It's all valuable
For sure.
to see.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We love Craig Hospital.
All right. Well, we just did 3 hours. That's all the questions.
We did a whole thing with
We did a
our
whole thing.
faces.
I didn't melt. I didn't chihuahua shake like a nervous puppy the whole time.
Not the
show.
whole time. We had our fidget cube.
I had a fidget cube.
You had your juice.
The juice.
I had my 3 drinks that I learned from that Nerd Violet. Always have your different
Always
drink.
have 3 drinks.
Always have 3 drinks. And then
Is that a Nerd Violet like rule?
That
what
is
she
a-
said? That's so-
every morning.
No,
Every
she
morning.
just
I
always
was like,
got a
what she
different
got in her
drink,
cup?
and then I'll notice she's got a couple different cups, and I'm just like, what's in that cup?
What's in
What's in that
that cup?
cup?
What's in that cup?
Well, thank
I'm
y'all
so glad
for-
that you had us on.
Thanks a lot. This
Never
is-
thought that anyone would want to talk to us.
Of
Yeah.
course. I was
is
fascinated. I mean, y'all saw my eyes light up the first time I met you, and I was like, I must understand, you know, how this came
Yeah.
to be, because it
This
clearly
was,
was something special, you know?
You requested this at TwitchCon Party 2018,
Yeah.
and I'm very glad that we made it here.
We took the opportunity.
I appreciate y'all. I really do.
Yeah.
I think I just thank you again for not only just doing this for me, but also just being really great friends and just always
Yeah.
being fucking cool, you know? Like
Yeah.
I can't help it. I can't think, like, after TwitchCon 2018, I can't think of like going to another convention without being with you guys, like
Right.
most of the
Same.
time.
Right?
'Cause,
It
like,
that was
we-
my first one
feels-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was mine too. 2018 was my first
Yeah.
one
It's a
too.
good vibe. It's
Yeah.
a good vibe. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a good, safe little pocket where we have our friends, we can reconjoin, come back together, and it's good vibes.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, us making
Yeah.
friendship from stranger definitely was a point, like, because you know I was pretty still low and coming out of some like confidence recovery stuff then. And it
Yeah,
was great because I was like, oh my god, I can go and meet friends and get along with them again still. Like, great. So
Yeah.
yeah, we love you and appreciate you, and love everybody in the chat for the support. It's really, it still just blows our mind. So
I
love you
can't
guys
believe
so
you
much.
guys like us.
oh man, it's so easy. Come on.
Oh.
I can't wait. One of my things that, like, once this whole Pepto-Bismol is all done with, I really want to go out with Nina and
Yes.
to Cali and like
you
just
guys come visit.
To my
Let-
house with
yeah,
the
to your
doo-doo?
house. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Just do that. Like, no convention,
Yeah.
just hang out in that way, cuz like I know
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to be me and Kellen hanging out while y'all doing, and then like
Just giggling.
Just doo-dooing into a doo-doo.
Yep. Yep.
He has
was
to
there
deal with that anyways.
was there anything that y'all wanted to like plug or anything coming up that you want to make sure that everybody knows about? Make sure you're following their channel.
We're having another rave on March 26th. It'll be a Friday.
Last week.
The last
Nice.
weekend of March. March 26th, Cullen's gonna DJ. I'm already gonna start a little mini list of suggestions. If you haven't listened to hashtag Rocco Your World, it is on Spotify and on
Mixology?
Mix.
Oh man, what is it even called? I almost just called it
Mixcloud.
Mixer.
It's called
Mixcloud.
Mixcloud.
On Mixer.
I will retweet. I'm gonna reshare the Mixcloud on Rocco's channel. But if you don't want to listen to the live mix, which you should, fucking smashed it. We have one for New Year's. We have one for Valentine's Day. But then you can listen to the full track lists on Spotify. Hashtag We Keep It Rocco. Hashtag Rocco. You Rocco My World.
You Rocco
There
my
you go.
world.
You Rocco My World. That was Valentine's Day. I don't know what we're gonna call the spring break one in March. But you guys should come if you like music. Kellen's been DJing and it's been literally the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And you can watch Rocco too. Like it's
Heck yeah.
we have some cool Rocco things coming up. I'm just panicking. We've got
That's
really
okay.
exciting
I put you on
stuff.
the
We've got
spot.
stuff with we've got horror nights. We're streaming with some D-Tune we're having on. We're having Kareem Cheese on. We're expanding out with new creators. We are always doing D&D with Corey Kalel the last Saturday of the month. And keep your eyes peeled for that nerd Violet. She has her own puppet, Cousin Tit. Rocco calls him Titty because he doesn't know it's a big word. Rocco and Titty are doing a co-stream soon.
Hell yeah.
We're locking down that. But did I miss
Okay.
anything?
That's good.
How do you
listen to his DJ stuff.
How do y'all feel? Yeah, listen to his DJ set. Oh my god, just really quick on the whole DJ set thing. The first DJ set night, I felt like I was right there with Rachel and Rocco both when like things would happen and like we would just turn and go, Dad, like just like wow.
Oh my god. My god.
I know there's not a whole lot to say about this, but I just want to say that I'm so glad that you are able to like reclaim this fucking thing that has been like a thing
yeah.
you didn't want to touch because it was associated with like negative bullshit.
Well, now you
but
know.
it's
It was
not
associated
that.
with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
It was
Now
like-
it's been associated with just something so good, and it's
Yes.
just so fun. I can't believe that, like, I gotta do that and people showed up.
I can't believe you're willingly letting me be like March 26th. Like,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Like,
It's
I
so
love
great.
that. You're
Yeah.
so cool.
You're so cool. I'm glad you get to
He's
reclaim
like,
this,
do
dude.
not
This is gonna
perceive
be.
me.
There's a lot of growing that's going to be happening in general, and I'm just really happy to see that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just happening with Rocco; it's happening for you,
Yeah.
as well, and Rachel as well. So
Yeah.
thank you all again
We
for
need-
being on the show.
I'm so glad. Thank you all, everybody, for showing up to
Yeah.
our
thank
first
you.
interview ever, because we didn't do this last week.
We didn't do it last week. That's true.
Nobody was here.
Okay. We raiding, we vibing, we raiding. That's the raid message. Please copy that. Thank you. Awesome. We're gonna go raid D-Tune. Thank you all again for being on the show. For anybody getting in late, subscribe on the YouTube channel. It's gonna be posted on there, highlighted, and chaptered for y'all to easily keep up with, where you need to go on the video. Thanks again, guys. I love you. I'll see y'all soon.
Love you.
Big kisses.
Big kisses.
Big
Okay.
mommy.
Well, thanks. That was great.
mommy.
Hell yeah. All right. Hitting that raid button now. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Big mommy.